San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime years.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And happy Wednesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. Braden Surprenant here on the Braden Surprenant Show, alongside Frank Marchese, taking you up to 2 o'clock today with Gwynn and Chris, and then the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt coming up at 5:40. Padres baseball at 6:40. And then I will have the Hamul Casino Resort postgame show today. So you get 2 shows of Braden today. Fun stuff on a Wednesday. Padres win last night's game by a score of, what was the final? 10-5, 11-5, 10-5 with the extra innings and the extra 11th inning, where the offense looked as good as they have been all season, or, not all season long, but since the trade deadline. Took them a little bit to get going. That nice little start to the game, a little bit offensively. Pitching-wise, we'll get into Yu Darvish a little bit. 4 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. Yu Darvish yesterday almost did what Frank and I wanted him to do to make it stomachable, which is not really a word, but to make it satisfactory. Again, as you see Yu Darvish kind of ramp up. We'll talk more about Yu Darvish later on in the show. Tom Kraslovic put in his column today talking a little bit about how Yu Darvish has reinvented himself as a pitcher that has let him be able to pitch into his age 38 season. Again, this is why I'm so big on defending players that have been put to a ridiculous level of expectations. That's why I was defending Xander Bogaerts for most of the season. Haven't had to do that too much as of late. And Xander didn't have that great of a game yesterday, but he did have 2 hits, and he did hit a home run to get things started for the San Diego Padres. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Overall, it was not pretty. At the end of yesterday's game, I texted, just like everybody else does, that stayed up late to watch the Padres game last night. That seemed like it was dragging for most of the game last night. Your little group chat that you might have with your friends or whoever watches the Padre games with you. I said in my particular group chat, that was unenjoyable to watch. That game was unenjoyable. That game had Chase Field Padres disaster written all over it. We've seen that at Coors Field, and we talked about it before, how difficult it is for the Padres to win in Arizona, how much of a house of horrors it has been for the Padres. Last night looked like another very stereotypical Padres game in Arizona. It started off again. You didn't do anything offensively in the top half of the first inning, and then Yu Darvish with 2 outs walked a man and then gave up a bomb to Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who was having his revenge game, it looked like, for his brother Yuli, who got cut earlier in the year by the San Diego Padres. He hits that bomb to go up 2-0, and then the Padres rallied back. Home run on Xander Bogaerts, followed by a triple from Ramon Laureano, then a double to tie the game back up at 2 apiece. So we'll talk more about Laureano in just a second. Laureano has been the biggest pickup for the Padres so far. It's not even close. I think he's like 8 for 18 in a Padres uniform with so many extra base hits. So we'll talk about Laureano in a second. Prolific. Yeah, had the Costco game written all over it because they play in a gigantic Costco. If a baseball game broke out in Costco, it would look like Chase Field. That's what it would look like. That's basically, you're playing in a giant warehouse out there in Arizona. But again, You rally back, you tie it back up, and then you give up another run. Yu Darvish does. And then you get lucky. I mean, how much of a circus was the Diamondbacks bullpen yesterday? I mean, complete circus. That one inning, the Padres ended up tying the game. It would have been nice to get a hit and kind of blow it open early against Arizona instead of continuing to play with a tie ball game for most of the ball game last night. But the inning that they got the tying run to tie the game up at 3, this is how that inning went. Strikeout, and then new pitcher, walk, pitch clock violation. With 2 outs, they walk the bases loaded and then walk in a run. That has to be the most frustrating thing to watch as a fan for any team. I mean, Arizona's bullpen was awful. It is awful. I don't know how the Padres didn't take advantage of it 2 days ago. And again, I mentioned before, they made whatever his name is, Hoffman, look like Trevor Hoffman on Monday night. Last night, he looked more like himself with all over the place. So you get the run back in the 6th inning. And then in the 7th inning, you get the two runs that you need to get the lead to pass it to your bullpen. 7th inning for the Padres. Win as such. Machado double. Merrill walked. Bogart struck out. Then Ramon Laureano, again, contributing for this team, roped the double to score both Merrill and Manny Machado to make it 5-3 San Diego. Cronenworth then walked, and unfortunately, you went Iglesias and then Freddy Fermín on a couple of outs, but you got the 2-run lead that you needed. 1-2-3 inning for Jeremiah Estrada over Jason Adam. Top of the 8th inning, you go down 1-2-3 in the top of the order, which is not great. And then in the 8th inning, with 2 outs, again, 2-out walks kill the Padres. It happened twice last night. Last night, Yu Darvish, with 2 outs, walked the man, and then Lourdes Gurriel Jr. hit a home run to take a 2-0 lead. In the 8th inning, Mason Miller, after getting the first 2 men out, walked Perdomo and then gave up a 2-run homer to Lourdes Gurriel Jr., his 14th homer of the year. Lourdes Gurriel Jr.'s home run last night was the fastest. That was the first home run in Major League Baseball history off of a 104-mile-an-hour pitch. I mean, Mason Miller threw that ball 104 miles an hour, and it got deposited over the left field fence. That is a little bit of the problem of throwing that hard. If you throw the ball 104 miles an hour, if somebody squares it up, it's going a very, very long way. So he's human. He gave up the bomb, tied the game up back at 5. And then the Padres in the 9th inning had a couple of opportunities, couldn't get the job done. Bottom of the 9th inning, stressful bottom of the 9th inning. Padres able to get out of it after Wandy Peralta kind of got a couple of guys on base. He recorded the first out, then it was a single, a hit by a pitch. Can't hit a guy with a runner on first. Not in the 9th inning when you're tied. Suarez actually did a really good job. I mean, I haven't seen Suarez really do that great with damage in terms of runners on base, but he inherited a couple of runners on base and got Adrian Del Castillo to fly out and then struck out Corbin Carroll to force it to extras. Extra innings was disaster in the top of the 10th. I mean, this team's lack of ability to execute in extra innings is a little daunting and a little glaring. I know they won in extras, but that first inning, you bunted over Cronenworth, fine. Get the ball in the outfield. Sinker ball pitcher, I know it's hard to do. Freddy Fermín rolls over, and then Fernando Tatis Jr. grounds out. And so you go 3 outs in a row, and you got a guy to third. Bottom of the 10th inning, you intentionally walk Ketel Marte, which I thought was the right play. Ketel Marte is scary. You get Perdomo to fly out, and then Lourdes Gurriel Jr. with 2 guys on did not hit a home run. This time he grounded into a double play, and then the floodgates open for the Padres offensively. Now, with Fernando at second base, that is the best case scenario for any type of extra inning. Arise got a knock. Fernando was hauling ass around the bases. And with a good throw, he's probably out at the plate. McMahon can't handle it. So the Padres take a 6-5 lead, and then they do exactly what they needed to do and just poured it on. Machado got a single. Jackson Merrill got a sac fly. Not the worst, but drove in a run, made it 7-5. Bogarts ripped a single. Ramon Laureano, who just continues to hit the cover off the ball. He hits a single, makes it 8-5 Padres. Jake Cronenworth did ground out into a force out, but was able to beat the throw back to first, so it eliminates a potential double play to end the inning. Instead, it adds another run. Iglesias gets a single. Freddy Fermín singles again. It's 10-5 Padres, and then Fernando comes to the dish and grounds out and goes 0 for 6 last night. He did not have a great night. But everybody contributes in some fashion. In the 10th inning, they go up 10-5. David Morgan comes in and goes 1-2-3, and the Padres, despite it being a difficult game, despite the Padres, and Jesse Agler said it on the TV broadcast last night a handful of times, this was a game that was frustrating to watch. This is a game that didn't seem like anything was going the Padres' way. Every time that they tried to climb back a little bit, the Diamondbacks answered, and the frustrating game, as probably sloppy as it might have been, I don't even think it was like sloppy, but as frustrating as it was and how as much not fun that I had watching it, at the end of the day, you got a victory. At the end of the day, you increase your opportunities to make the playoffs. In the crucial 42, you're now 8-4. Your magic number to make the postseason now is at 42, just to make it. And if you look at the playoffstatus.com, where you can go, fiddle with it, as of right now, with the Padres winning and the Mets losing, I think, last night, the Padres do have a half-game lead on the Mets, even though they have the same record because they win the tiebreaker. And now the Padres are the number 5 seed in the National League playoffs if the season ended today, which it does not. The Mets are currently playing the Guardians. They just got underway in New York at the top of the first inning. If the Padres can win again tonight, win a series, they will remain in that number 5 spot, which is obviously great for the San Diego Padres. And with the win last night, their chances of making the playoffs based on math, not Fangraphs' predictions or anything like that, is at 85% chance to make the playoffs and only a 15% chance now to not make the playoffs. Reds are still hanging on. That's about it. They are in control of their own destiny for the 4, 5, and 6. Giants can only control their own destiny for the 6th seed, but a lot of them have high percentage chances of not making the playoffs. Reds currently 77% chance to not make the playoffs. Giants 86% chance of not making the playoffs. And the Cardinals and the Marlins, who are just barely hanging on, 92% chance of not making the playoffs. We will talk about some dark horses a little bit later in the show today. Frank put together a good thing on some of the dark horse players for the postseason. One of them being the Cleveland Guardians, who are going against the New York Mets right now. I talked about it before. I'll continue to talk about it again as we look at the final 48 games now of the regular season. Padres can win a max of 111 games if they win their next 48 of 48, which we know is not happening. If the Padres win 50% of their games, they go 500 the rest of the way, go 24-24 their next 48, the Padres will have an 83% chance of making the playoffs and still in a good spot. If they win 25 the next 48, that percentage chance of making the playoffs increases to 93% if they win 25 of their next 48 games. In order to win the 96 mark that Prolific in the chat on YouTube predicted at the beginning of the year, Padres have to win 33 of their next 48 games or win 69% of the remaining games this season. We'll talk more about that, and we'll talk about some of the other storylines that stood out to us in last night's game. We'll hear what Frank has to say about last night's game, as he is not only working today, but the Mets are on MLB Network, so he's going to be emotionally and mentally locked into 2 different things today. So we'll see how Frank's doing when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Just getting started on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. 10:20 on a Wednesday morning. No day game today for the San Diego Padres. They get to play at night because they're not too far from San Diego and they have an off day tomorrow. So no preemptive show. We got a full show today on a Wednesday. We only get preempted a decent amount of times, like not too much, and it's only in the summertime with Padres baseball. It's not like Gwen and Chris who get preempted like almost every day. And then they get to the fall with no more Padres baseball, and they got Mondays and Thursdays. I mean, come on. It's like, honestly, it's shocking when Gwen and Chris are able to do a full show. It's just when they got a full show, a full 4 hours for an entire week. That probably happens twice a year.
And even more so than that, when you actually get a Scraby show after it too.
That also is true. A full week. It's probably like twice out of the year you have a full week of Gwen and Chris for 4 hours every day, followed by a Scraby show. Maybe twice? Like a whole week. I don't know how many times that we've seen that.
They'll get it tomorrow with the off day, but the full week is certainly
the full week.
Thing. Well, I mean, you got to think the East Coast swings, if they get a long East Coast swing.
True. Could be some of those.
Games are usually over by 1. Post game is usually with Sam.
Yeah, but those East Coast
over by 2.
Those East Coast swings, like you have at least one day or every day that the game starts at like 4. So they don't have a full week of like their 4-hour show.
Oh.
A full week of their full 4-hour show.
I'm an idiot. I'm thinking a full week of East Coast swing afternoon games, which never happens. So there you go.
Tell you what, that'd be sick though.
It would be fantastic.
And when the Padres play the Cubs, a team that has to play a certain amount of day games,
yeah,
it's always at night during the week. Always at night. And the only time they play them during the day is on the weekend for some odd reason. Now, that being said, we got great news for Gwen and Chris today.
Yes, we do.
Coming up at 2:40 today on Gwen and Chris, you're not going to want to miss this. JJ Spawn, U.S. Open champion, San Diego State Aztec for life, is joining Gwen and Chris today at 2:40. Just an unbelievable interview. And if you've never heard interviews with JJ Spawn, I mean, the guy, he's fun to talk. He's fun to talk to. So I'm excited to hear that a little bit. I was told like they did a little, pre-taping a little bit and asked him about the situation in which what has changed in his life. You're not going to want to miss the answer to that.
Yeah. No, we've heard some snippets of it already. It's very, very good. Must listen.
Job security is great from a golfer. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. JJ Spawn today at 2:40. Kevin Acey in his daily newsletter had some tidbits about last night's roller coaster 10-5 extra inning win in Arizona. I mean, these are games that good teams find a way to win. Padres are a good team. They found a way to win. Again, we mentioned before, I gave you all the playoff odds for everything. Padres are in a good spot right now, continuing to try to catch Los Angeles, who won last night against St. Louis. It would have been nice to win on Monday to try to get a game back, but you know what? It's all about series. So we'll see how the Padres do tonight against Arizona. Again, a 6:40 start. Pregame show, Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 5:40. I have the Hamul Casino Resorts postgame show tonight following the broadcast, so you get a double dose of me today.
Oh, no.
I know. What a brutal. That's also not great for the Mets. That's your pick to make the playoffs, though, Frank. So you spoke that into existence yesterday.
Yeah, well,
you did that to yourself. Anyway, so that's how it lays out. Couple of things from last night's game, as mentioned in Kevin Acey's daily newsletter. Ramon Laureano catching fire since the trade deadline. 8 for 18 his first 5 games with San Diego, delivering a triple, a double, a game-breaking 11th inning RBI. He has had that spark plug energy, instant impact that you could make him one of A.J. Preller's best in-season moves in years, if he obviously continues it. It's only been 5 games. Bullpen usage, obviously becoming a little bit of a concern. If you look at the bullpen usage from yesterday, everybody pitched yesterday except for Matsui and Reynolds. Now, some of the guys did not throw too many pitches. Like Peralta didn't throw too many pitches. He threw 10, but he pitched on Monday. He threw 18 on Monday. David Morgan will probably be available with 11 pitches potentially, but he's pitched 3 out of the last 4 games. Estrada has pitched 3 out of the last 4 games. He only threw 11 pitches yesterday. Mason Miller threw 24 pitches yesterday. I can't imagine him being available today. Jason Adam always wants the ball. He threw 15 after having a day off on Monday. So there's a couple of options for the Padres, but with Nasty Nestor pitching today, you would hope he gets you some innings tonight. And we'll talk more about that later on. So Ramon Laureano's been good. Bullpen usage becoming a little bit of a concern. Strong showing for Mason Miller and Robert Suarez so far. I mean, I know Mason Miller gave the home run. I'm not a big tip your cap guy, but if you pump 104 in there and the guy takes you deep, you know what? Good on him. Bullpen has thrown 18 1/3 innings over 4 games, with starters failing to get past the 5th inning. Obviously, they're pushing the relievers to the limit. They need some starting pitching to eat some innings here in the next couple of weeks and really the next 2 months. Ariza's glove, it was interesting. I heard this question last night on the postgame that Kevin Acee asked Mike Schilt for this particular article about Luis Ariza at first base. Even though the metrics don't like him, he's actually getting a lot better. And he's done a lot of game-saving plays yesterday, or like just in general this season. He's actually done a pretty good job at first base the last couple of, last night he did, but throughout the season he's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, no, he's looked very, very good over at first base. He's looked very confident. And I don't know how much stock you want to put into this, but you have the backup of Ryan O'Hearn there. This guy was the big ticket item in that trade with Baltimore.
I can't believe he's not playing as much.
He's only started 1 game. He only started on Saturday night. He has not started the last 3 games. He hasn't made an appearance in the last 2.
If I am correct, and I think I am, the Padres acquired 1 All-Star at the break, correct? 1 All-Star from 2025. It's Ryan O'Hearn. They have used him the least amount out of all of the players that they acquired at the deadline. The 1 American League All-Star. The 1 All-Star for 2025.
Mason Miller didn't make the All-Star team?
I don't think he did this year. He is an All-Star though. More times than not. No, the A's had one. The A's had 1
They
All-Star.
had Jacob Wilson.
They had Jacob Wilson. I don't think Mason Miller made the All-Star team. Not to say that he couldn't, but and it's interesting. Letters to AJ, who we're going to get into some of the stuff that he did the last couple of weeks. There was one part that we're not going to talk about. He had a breakdown on JP Sears. That's obviously it was before he actually pitched.
Oops. And then was sent down.
And then was sent down. And Kevin Acee on that tweet that he had about JP Sears getting sent down, he has to be down there for 15 days. When that 15 days is up, it's around the time the Padres could use a 6-man rotation. So it could be just a work, it could just be a manager, a management thing, an office thing. He's the guy that has options, right? So maybe it's just a protocol thing. But anyway, they talked about how pitching in Sacramento with how hot it is up there is almost as bad as pitching at Coors Field. And for a fly ball pitcher that JP Sears could use a lot of Petco Park to really help him out and really settle in. And you know where else is a bandbox in terms of altitude and the ball flying? Arizona. So not overly surprised. I was surprised they didn't use Ryan O'Hearn though, as we talked about, Frank. Yeah, no,
it is surprising that O'Hearn has been as inactive with this team as possible as he has been. He has had pinch hit opportunities, so he's appeared in every game except last night, I believe, just last night. But to have only started him in 1 game, they haven't really run into too many left-handed pitchers. Haven't tried to get him out in the field and first base. Tried to give Luis Ariza a day. It's just it's odd to me how the big ticket item of the trade has been effectively a bench piece. so far this year.
I will say, like, there was a couple of instances yesterday in terms of like pinch hitting opportunities for maybe a Ryan O'Hearn. Somebody texted me, they wanted to see Ryan O'Hearn pinch hit for like a Rise, and when the bases were loaded, when a Rise didn't get the runs in or whatever like that. I'm not taking a Rise out of the game.
Yeah, no, especially not in that spot.
I'm not taking him out of the lineup. And then there was a couple other things where it's like, okay, if Manny's DHing, right? Because people were upset, like Jose Iglesias got to start yesterday. And my response was, well, you have to start some of these guys. Like, they have to remain fresh throughout the next 2 months because you need them for the postseason. They can't just rot
it's like
for 2 months. They need reps.
It's like we were talking about with Gavin Sheets yesterday.
Right. And so the question came about, well, why is Iglesias starting and not O'Hearn? So you DH Manny, right? You need somebody to play third base. Iglesias is really the third base option. Let's say you want to start Manny at DH and you want Ryan O'Hearn in the lineup. Like, Ryan O'Hearn then has to play first, which means who plays second? A Rise, right? Like, you're not going to put a Rise anywhere else. You have to put a Rise at second, which I'm not a huge fan of. You could take Jake Cronenworth out of the lineup, but I guess Jake Cronenworth can play third base. Like, I don't have a problem with Jake Cronenworth playing third base. Some people did. The guy's a former shortstop. I mean, and I watched him play shortstop in that summer training. I say summer training. In COVID, remember 2020?
Yep.
There was a couple of times I got to go to the ballpark during their summer warm-up session. And I remember I drove up to Anaheim to watch the Padres play. I was in a suite. That's where everybody was. Everybody got their own suite, so you were separated. No, it didn't have any amenities. But I watched Cronenworth play shortstop. It looked pretty good. I mean, he could literally play any position, with the exception of maybe catcher. But you know what? With his hockey background, maybe he could play catcher. Who knows? But I'd probably have him play third base. I'm not putting Ryan O'Hearn at third base. I'm not. I'd put him at first.
I'm seeing in the chat that Ryan O'Hearn took a knee to the head. I can't find that.
When was that?
I can't find that anywhere. I mean, he's dealt with a sore left ankle from what I've seen that caused him to miss a couple of games. But other than that, I can't find anything where he took a knee to the head recently. If that was the case,
they would have put him on the 7-day concussion protocol and brought another player up. If that was the case. But he's been playing. So anyway, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We are getting an update on, and it's funny, it was in the news again today on 10 News. Shout out Ben Higgins. Chula Vista's new plan for the massive Pangea development on the Bayfront, which people asked us yesterday, what is that 50,000 seat stadium going to be used for? We'll tell you everything you need to know about that project and what's going on in the arena as we kind of pivot from Padres baseball. At 11 o'clock, we're going to take a deeper dive in the value of Freddy Fermine. We're also going to take a deeper dive in some strategies that the Padres can exploit and use in the postseason that not a lot of teams can do, and it's because what they did in the trade deadline. We're talking about that at 11. So stay tuned. But when we come back, Jennifer Van Grove from the San Diego Union Tribune gives us an update on what's going on down in Chula Vista for a brand new 50,000-seat stadium, soccer stadium, football stadium, and an update on the arena when we come back. 10:39 on a Wednesday morning. Talk a lot of Padres baseball today, but quickly we're going to transition a little bit into a couple of developments throughout San Diego County, obviously. Try to get some updates on the latest that's going on with potential stadiums in town that could lead to more events. And there's only one person that I'd like to have on to talk about this because she is, I wouldn't say I don't want to give her the title of expert. She probably doesn't want that, but she does a great job reporting on everything in terms of development for the San Diego Union Tribune. Always well informed on the know of what's going on. Her name is Jennifer Van Grove. She joins me on the Braden Surprenant show. Jennifer, what's going on?
Hi, Braden. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, we had some obvious developments going on in Chula Vista, per se, on this new Pangea site where there's a lot of stuff that they want to pump into this area of land down on the bayfront over by the new Gaylord Hotel. What can you tell us about this particular project, what they want to bring there, and what kind of steps they have moved along so far?
So, a lot of development is kind of an understatement. We're talking, this is a huge mega development, but it's also in its infancy. So I really want to caution that there is a long way to go here. So the Pangea proposal is for 124 acres of waterfront property. And you're right, it's just south of the new Gaylord resort. And its anchor, as proposed, is a very large tennis facility. We're talking something with a stadium court that could seat up to 18,000 people, plus 34 other surrounding courts that would be for tennis and pickleball and paddleball. So huge tennis complex, plus a water polo academy that has its own competition pool with up to 15,000 seats, plus 4 hotels, plus a massive 300,000 square foot retail village, plus a couple of blue tech office buildings, and of course, some open space. And that's, I think most of that is phase 1 as proposed. And then there's phase 2, which you kind of alluded to. And the team is dangling a 50,000 seat stadium. For what purpose? They're saying they don't know. It could be soccer, it could be lacrosse, it could be something, but they're putting it out there. And in all their sort of proposal documents, they've kind of suggested that it would be for professional soccer.
They've also dangled cricket. Maybe San Diego's getting a professional cricket team soon. You never know. They have the 2 phases. I know that they met with the powers to be to approve the negotiation window. You said it's in its infancy. You know, in layman's terms, because I know you can get into fine details of this.
Yes.
What's kind of the timeline like for the project down in Chula Vista?
Well, the timeline is nebulous, but so we do have kind of a window of time right now. So just a couple of weeks ago, the San Diego Unified Port District, which is, they're the governing agency here because this is Port Tidelands right on the water. They gave the okay for the port to enter into a 6-month exclusive negotiating agreement. I won't get into the weeds on that, but what that means is, first, agency staff, they're going to work out the terms that go into this agreement. That could take as much as as long as 6 months. And then they have another 6-month period in that agreement. So we're talking maybe a year before something is a little bit more concrete. And I will tell you that 6-month time period, it is very abnormal for the port to do something that is so short. When you look at these types of agreements, you tend to see 2-year agreements with 2-year options, but it's so short because this team, this development group, has dangled something else. They've dangled an elite professional athlete who would come in as a partner for the tennis complex and kind of be a brand name. So that 6-month window, in theory, gives this team time to finalize a partnership with that athlete.
The last thing I have to ask about this particular project, just because I have to ask, because most people that listen to us want to know what's going on with the phase 2 vagueness of the 50,000 seat stadium. That excites a lot of people in town that used to call a certain team their favorite team that now does not call them their favorite team. Obviously, not thinking about them, but is this particular group, I don't know if you would know this or not, you know, with them being vague on that stadium, is there any type, at least when your conversation with them, that they're looking for a permanent tenant for said stadium, or are they just looking to just have it to be able to host events?
Well, I have it. So I talked to Greg Mueller with Tuckler Sadler Architects after the meeting, the port meeting, and then he also said some things during the meeting to suggest that they have no idea essentially what they're doing with this stadium. So I'd love to throw cold water on any sort of football potential here. And so it really just sounds to me like it's a placeholder. And I would actually advise a healthy dose of skepticism for the whole project in general until we get through that 6-month exclusive negotiating period and we know that there is some sort of elite professional athlete here, because this may all sound very familiar. Back in 2023, a group that included some of these same folks came forward and was promising an MLS stadium in this same area. And so we have to be cautious in how we think about this project and still, again, think about it as in its infancy, and there's so much more that needs to happen before we can talk about any of these things as being real.
Moving on, as we're talking with Jennifer Van Grove, who covers growth and development for the San Diego Union Tribune. A lot of information on the Midway District a while ago. I know they went to the negotiation window, and from that point on, at least for the general public, it seems like that's been put on the back burner in terms of relative information. What is the latest on that negotiation window with the Midway District, or sorry, Midway Rising, and the city of San Diego, and what's going on with the property down there in the Midway District?
Yeah, so the Midway Rising project, if you recall, the city council members, they selected this team back in September 2022. So we are going on 3 years now. But the most recent milestone was back in March, and that's when they released their draft subsequent environmental impact report, which is, they have to do that under something called CEQA. And so even though things seem quiet, things are happening in the background. I'm told by the team that they are going to be going to the San Diego Planning Commission in September, and that would probably look at a final version of the EIR and look at land uses. And then they are still marching towards a development agreement with the city of San Diego, and they're still targeting that to be finalized before the end of the year. And as far as their contract with the city, their negotiating agreement, they have until December 5th to finalize that long-term ground lease here. So I know it seems like it's quiet, and it seemed quiet to me as well. And that's just because there's a lot of stuff happening in the background. But they're saying that they're still working towards, completing the agreement with the city and getting final approval by the end of the year.
After final agreement work, can they move forward on that?
Well, if they get approval, then they can begin their project. I mean, they obviously still will have to file permits, and there's still a lot of work. And the timeline, I'm not quite sure on the timeline after that. They'll need some time for permitting, but that final approval gives them, the lease agreement, and they'd be able to move forward on the project. Their project, if you recall, is a 2-phase project over 10 years. So once they start, they will start with the arena and start with like a portion of the residential, and then kind of complete the project in 2 phases over 10 years.
Jennifer, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks again for informing us what's going on, and we appreciate the update.
Thanks, Braden.
Jennifer Van Grove, San Diego Union Tribune writer, covers growth and development for the San Diego Union Tribune, always giving us a wealth of information on a lot of different projects. So the one down in Chula Vista obviously is in its infancy phases. That 50,000 seat stadium is such a vague thing. Frank, what I got out of that from what she told us, it's so vague. It's like, I don't know. There's nothing to say. I don't know. Not her, but like their team is going, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of an idea to just
it's a thing.
Throw something there.
It's a thing that's going to be there.
Yeah,
we don't know what the thing is yet, but
know,
there is space for a thing.
Nobody just goes like, I guess we could just, spend a ton of money on a 50,000 seat stadium, 65,000 seat stadium. It's just kind of like, I don't know. What's this on the plans right here in the middle? This gigantic stadium here in the middle of the, that's just, something on the side.
It's a hole in the ground. What
yeah. Do you mean? Concerts and cricket and lacrosse and yeah, that's it.
So let's just call it what it is. It's not the 50,000 seat stadium project. It is the thing project. It's the thing.
The thing.
There is a thing there. We don't know what the thing is.
Unlike the New Mexico thing
exactly
or Arizona thing. I think it's in Arizona.
But there's going to be a thing that occupies that space.
They're looking for Maybe they're looking for somebody to throw some money in it.
Trav Gundy in the chat.
NASCAR track.
Just know this about me.
Don't tease.
As long as I'm here,
don't tease.
I don't get that lucky. In no way, shape, or form in my life have I ever gotten that lucky. It will never happen.
I mean, honestly, if you are that particular group, I'm just talking. You could theoretically make a deal with a team and, Frank, invest. They can own the stadium and a couple other spots of the land. I mean, it's the same thing I said with Stan Kroenke, right? In the development down of the arena. You need stuff there to make the land around it valuable. It's the same thing with Mission Valley. Like San Diego State, they needed their own stadium, right? But at the same time, the value is in the stuff around the stadium.
Yes.
Not the stadium itself. The value is the land around the stadium. That's why, and I forget the name of the owner at the time. Somebody could tell me. It was when I was a kid. That's why the group that owned the Padres at the time that built Petco Park, they made their money on buying all the cheap land around it before they built a brand new stadium right dab in the middle of East Village, which used to be a disaster zone.
Yeah, somebody.
In fact, the gas lamp was not a great place to be.
Somebody actually just posted a picture of what that area looked like back in 2002 as the stadium was being leveled and like you could start seeing support beams going up. Vastly different. It was a wasteland, it looked like.
The value is not the stadium, even though it does have value. The value is the land around the stadium. So again, you need a tenant. You need a full-time tenant. You need a tenant that's going to be able to fill that place. And the best, let me ask you this, Frank. What is the best value tenant for a 50 to 65,000 seat stadium in the United States of America?
Restaurants and hotels.
No, what is the tenant of the stadium?
The
tenant of the stadium.
NFL.
If you're going to build
Football.
a 50,000 to 65,000 seat stadium, what is the tenant that is the best to fill that stadium?
It's going to be football.
It's football. It's not even close. We're going to build it for soccer. For how many events? Seriously. I mean, for how many events? How many? You need a tenant for that.
I mean, the World Cup's coming.
Yeah, except you missed it. By the time they build this thing, it'll be like who knows when the World Cup's coming back.
Hey,
It's the Olympics.
Qatar got those buildings up pretty quick. Now, there are plenty of extenuating circumstances around that, which are not necessarily legal. However, they got them up pretty quick.
They're not doing that here.
Please do not do a Qatari-style
they have
stadium build
permits and
here,
regulations in the United States that you have to abide by.
We are not.
We're talking permits again?
Yeah, we are not endorsing the city of Chula Vista to do anything related to the way Qatar built their World Cup stadiums. Please do not do that.
Anyway, so that's the best thing. The thing that sucks is the Olympics are coming to Los Angeles. And like San Diego's not are we hosting anything? I think they maybe hosting one small thing.
I don't think so.
You know, San Diego can't host the Olympics because they didn't have a water facility. They had the tenant. They're building all of these things now that could have been useful to host things like that, like an aquaplex, which what they don't have. Like San Diego State doesn't have the Olympic-sized aquaplex that you would need for a stadium. They said, how many people did they say? Like a couple thousand people for a water polo complex?
Yeah, it's just a little late.
The Chula Vista thing intrigues me. You want to know why it intrigues me? Because the city of San Diego is not involved. Therefore, it might actually get done. They might actually get stuff done. I mean, the negotiation window for this arena project is taking forever. How much is the meter parking going to be out there? Get me started on that.
We have more on that later.
That ridiculousness.
News that broke yesterday.
You guys are making all this money on parking, and the street meter is only $2.50. We should make them $10. No, you shouldn't. Should not do that. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Mike, Jimmy, Kevin will get to you at the top of the hour. We will also dive into some very important Padres stuff that was pointed out in the latest edition of Letters to AJ. We'll take a deeper dive in the second hour of the show. Already an hour down. Braden Surprenant Show rolls on. We got people calling people wind socks and putting fries in the bag in the chat. What's going on? Step away from the YouTube chat for like 5 seconds.
I mean, we ignore for 5 seconds and it all falls apart.
It all
in
falls
the YouTube
apart.
chat.
I don't even know what they're talking about. No, somebody's like, look, like I'm not, I don't want to get into politics on here, but it's funny to me, like the people that go like, well, if you don't like it, just move. It's like, okay, all right. It's like, these you keep making things that I don't like in the city, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just have to just keep moving around all the place. Why not fight for what you want in your own city? Whatever. I'm not going to dive into that. You know what? I think a lot of people don't like a lot of different things in the town. That doesn't mean that they have to just leave. I mean, it's such a childish answer to be like, well, then just leave then. All right, dude. Some of us want the best for our city to make it work for everybody, not just like, yeah, just leave. Whatever, dude. 833-288-973. 833-288-973. Let's get out to Mike and Ramona. You're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
Hey, Braden, bro. Sergeant Major Boom here. Rangers lead the way. Army Rangers, not Texas Rangers. Hey, Braden, I'm like losing my crap every day when I check the lineup a couple hours before the game once Schilt and releases it. And I see Laureano in there. Good. He's a stud. But I'm getting tired of seeing Diaz and Iglesias. That's not why we signed an all-star first baseman. O'Hearn should at a minimum be DHing or playing first almost every day. This will still enable us to get a guy a day off every day. And my solution, it's a fine line between Iglesias and these guys not getting rusty. That's fine. When we have a big lead, like out of slam range, put Iglesias in the seventh inning or so, sixth, seventh inning when we got a big lead. And that way they get one or two at bats and they keep it lively. But AJ didn't sign these guys so they could ride the pine. Okay.
Well, Mike, I appreciate the phone call. I don't know why Ryan O'Hearn's not playing as much. I mean, he's playing less than I thought he would play at this point in time. I thought he'd be playing a lot more. Are you surprised by Ryan O'Hearn's playing time, Frank? I am a little surprised.
Yes, I am. I thought he would have at least started 3 of the 5 that he's played, that he's been a Padre so far.
I think the only qualm you might have about the lineup in the last, I don't know how many, we haven't even made it through a week. The trade deadline was a week ago tomorrow. Okay? So we've had 3 games against the Cardinals and 2 games against Arizona. 5 games. And it's not surprising that he didn't start the first game coming from Baltimore. Ramon Laureano got there before Ryan O'Hearn did. All right, so it's really 4 games, and he started one of them, correct? If I'm not mistaken. He's played in how many games has he played in already? 3? Did he play in 3 games? Maybe he's only played in 2.
I know he pinch hit Friday.
He pinch hit Friday after not starting. He started Saturday.
Pinch hit Sunday.
Pinch hit Sunday. Didn't play Monday.
He didn't play Monday.
And then he didn't play.
He didn't play last
yesterday.
night either.
Okay. So he has played 3 out of the 5 games in a Padres uniform.
No, he did pinch hit on Monday. He pinch hit. He
did.
pinch hit for Freddy Fermín.
Because then he flew out to right. So he's played in 4 of the Padres' 5 games, and he has started one of them. It's been 5 games since he's been a Padre. So at that point, I get the one start is a little head scratching to me, especially since it's not like Gavin Sheets is starting all these other games. Okay, so I understand. I'd like to know what the lineup is tonight for the Padres. I would imagine Ryan O'Hearn's in the lineup tonight. I don't know why he's not starting more. He's the all-star that you got on the team. I do think that there is some... You have to give other guys starts mixed in. Now, the Diaz thing, Freddy Fermín cannot start every day. Catchers don't start every day. You can't do it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot on your legs. It's tough to do. You're gonna see Diaz pitch. You're gonna see Diaz every once in a while. He has to play. And the other thing is these guys in this 26-man roster have to play. They're not going to carry them to not play, unless you're Tyler Wade, I guess, because that was kind of a deal for a while. So anyway, I am a little surprised that O'Hearn has not played a lot, but I'm not overly surprised. I'm not overly surprised. And again, you have to give guys reps. The last 2 months is trying to get everybody in place to be ready to go for the postseason. That's what it is. And they can still do that and try to chase down the Dodgers. It's been 5 games. Padres won 8 of the last 10. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Well, we talked about his neighborhood. You knew he was going to call in about it. Kevin in Chula Vista, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What do you got for me on Chula Vista, Kevin?
Okay, well, I thank you, Braden. I'm a little bit more optimistic than Jennifer, and I can appreciate her, journalistic integrity here in terms of downplaying where things could be at. But first of all, it was very correct. The good news is this is a Port Commission project. The port in San Diego has more money than God, and that's a good thing. As it relates to the permitting and all of the environmental impact reports, here's the good news. We have just gone through the process over the last 20 years of the Gaylord environmental impact, which is right across the street, as well as the 1,500 condos that are right across the street being built right now. So you can piggyback on a lot of that and shorten that process down. That's good news. What I would say in terms of the stadium, here's what needs to happen. And this is where leadership comes in. And we have had, as you well know, many shortcomings in leadership, but there should be some very quiet discussions right now that would have a delegation of the architects, the developers, the money people, and a couple of key politicians should take a trip up to LA, have a nice quiet meeting, sit down with Stan Kroenke, sit down with Dean, and talk about this. At the very least, talk about it. And if that can happen, and there gets to be more progression in those talks, which could happen, that will expedite that phase of the stadium could bolt up to the top. No pun intended on the bolt part. But so I tend to think that if some creative imagination was used here and creative leadership, we could expedite that stadium and potential tenants in it, but it's going to take leadership from some very key people. And whether or not we've got that, God only knows. But I think it would be in the best interest. It's on the trolley line, Braden. I mean, MTS stands to make a killing on this when all of this comes to fruition. They're going to love it. The only part that Chula Vista will play in this is there will be ancillary effects on the infrastructure surrounding the area. You're probably going to have to look at police and fire, city services that would go to service that area. But the port we've solved these things already through the precedent that was set on the Bayfront. So I don't quite share the reticence that Jennifer has. I understand it because we've been down this road so many times before, but I am hoping that we have good leadership finally come to the top. I'm going to make some phone calls. I'm going to find out what these people are thinking.
I love to hear it, Kevin. That's good spot for Kevin. Yeah, 2 positive phone calls in a row from Kevin right there. I like it. I think he's saying the right things. Now, it's funny. All these people complain all the time about wanting the NFL back, and then you have a slight glimmer of hope, and it's just like, let's crush everybody's hopes and dreams on this. But I'm telling you, he ain't crazy on this entire conversation. It is set up down there. The fact that they're being so vague about the gigantic stadium in the middle of this entire project is interesting to me. It's interesting to me. I know of groups that would love to buy a certain NFL franchise if it were to potentially be available. Here is an outlet for them to be a part of a group and have a place to play if they decided to do that. I'm just saying. It's a glimmer of hope, and that's what's interesting about this entire project. It's the only reason why I'm talking about this. You think I give a rat's you-know-what about a tennis center? I don't care. Do you think I care about a water polo center? No. Do I think I care about Tiger Woods' little golf course thing that he wants to put in there? No, I don't really care. I don't really care. I'm not driving down to Chula Vista for any of that. But the thing that makes this entire project intriguing to me is the 50,000-seat cricket stadium, lacrosse stadium, sports stadium that nobody would ever get this many people to go to their sport stadium right dab in the middle of this entire project. That's what intrigues me. Nobody builds a 50,000-seat stadium in the United States for cricket. I mean, think about that for a second. Can everybody just think for a second? If I'm going to spend think about the going rate for building supplies and what these stadiums are going for. What group in their right mind is going to spend $1 billion in a phase 2 for a stadium to strictly hold lacrosse, a 50,000-seat stadium to host some soccer games, lacrosse, cricket? I mean, think about the sports they are describing. Do you think you could get 50,000 San Diegans to go to a lacrosse game at a stadium in Chula Vista? Give me a break.
But you also have to look at it from the city's side here, which is you don't want to dangle that carrot of an NFL team possibly coming back.
No, you don't.
Only for the whole project to fall flat and nothing happen. You don't want to get people's hopes up. You don't want to even mention that as a possibility, because then if you do, then it's no longer a possibility. It becomes an expectation, and then that just ruins everything.
I understand.
So you understand it from the city side.
But you got to read through this. It's not the city. It's this private group that's putting this thing together.
Well,
and that's why they're using. Think about the sports they're naming. We read it. Well, it could be for cricket, soccer, lacrosse. 50,000 seats for $1 billion. You can spend $1 billion for people to do that. Come on, man.
You can't mention football though, because the second you mention football, everyone's going to think the NFL. Everyone's going to think the Chargers. People are going to get false hope, and if it falls flat on its face, everybody's disappointed again, and nothing will ever get built because no one's going to believe anything that ever comes out.
I know, but
so
you can read between the tea leaves. This is exactly what they're putting this in for.
Right, you can, but as an official, a part of this, whether it's on the construction side or on the city side, you can't be the one to say it. If people want to believe it, if people want to make the connection, fine, let them do it. But you can't say it as an quote unquote official plan to bring football to this new building, just in case it never gets done.
I understand that, but we're reading through the tea leaves here, and this is what you're building a stadium for. Just to tell everybody, this is what you're building a stadium for. They can say what they want, but there's something going on behind the scenes. I'm just saying. And here's the other thing. There was an article by Pro Football Talk like a year and a half ago that said they're looking for 40,000 seat stadiums in the future to expand because they want fancy suites and all this other stuff more than just gigantic stadiums. The gigantic stadium bat is over. They don't care about that anymore. They care about the corporate boxes, and they will shrink said stadiums in order to expand, and their ultimate goal is expanding to 40 teams in the National Football League. That is what that report said. So again, you're thinking, people are saying like it's not big enough. It's not. You're thinking about 1990s football. It's different now. It's different now. But I would tell you right now, this is what I would do if I was part of that group. I'll tell you when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show. 11:20 on the Braden and Braden. We had a packed show planned today, and then everything just goes over to other things that
It
are.
just means less work I have to do tonight.
That's right.
That's all that means.
More stuff tomorrow. Solo Dolo with a super chat today on YouTube. If a stadium is built, if it's football, do we really want the Chargers franchise feel scuffed? Well, I'm going to be frank with you. Let's be frank. Okay?
We should switch seats then. Frank sits here. You're going to be me, so we'll swap seats here.
I don't want to do that.
Well, then here, we'll do this then.
There you go. Let's be frank. Here's the deal with the stadium thing. And here's all the negative people saying. I'm not driving down to Chula Vista to go watch the Chargers.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
it's right on the 5.
If San Diego got an NFL team back and they played in Chula Vista, you would go. You would go. Don't say you will not go. You will go. I'm not driving down. If you wanted to watch the NFL and it was any point in town and it was San Diego whatever, you're not going to go because it's in Chula Vista? You already drive downtown to Petco Park. It's not much further. I'm calling hearsay on that. The other one, too, and look, I'm not a big fan of the Spanos family for what they did, but I'm going to tell you right now, if there's any NFL team that's back in San Diego, they get the full support. I don't really care who's there. I really don't. The San Diego, whatever. It could be an expansion franchise. It could be the Raiders. The Raiders are coming here. It could be the Chargers. It could be the Raiders. It could be anybody. It could literally be anybody. I wouldn't care. The NFL would be back. It'd be in San Diego. If the NBA wants to come here, or the NHL, or any entity, I will be a fan. I will be the first line. I'd be in first line for season tickets if they announced any team for any major sport, NBA, NHL, NFL. I'd be the first one in line for season tickets. I would. I'd be first in line. It's insane. Like some of the things. I wouldn't do that. Yeah, you would. You would. Don't pretend that you wouldn't. You absolutely would. Now, this is what I would do. Okay? If I'm part of this group, that is putting together this particular project, I don't know who it is specifically. The McGarry Group, the developer of the project.
I'm not sure. Are we still being frank or?
I'm being frank here.
Okay.
This is what I would do. I would do exactly. I'm going to hate saying this. I would do exactly what Kevin and Chula Vista said. It was a great idea. It doesn't hurt. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that plays out here, right? Stan Kroenke doesn't want Dean Spanos and their team in his building. He doesn't want to share. He doesn't want that. He's being forced to do that. It was his way to move to LA and everything like that. He doesn't want them to be there. There is a way that you can make a deal. Here's the thing about owners. And I had to mention this, and I mentioned this before with Kroenke and the Arena project down in the Midway District. These guys care about money, and that's all they care about. And guess what they do? They do backdoor deals all the time. Here's what else they do. They bleep people over. They do that. That's why these people have this kind of money. They do stuff like that. They make deals. Let's think about the Kroenke family for a second. Why is Stan Kroenke getting involved with the Midway Rising project down in the Midway District and building an arena? He's not doing it for concerts. He ain't doing it for the San Diego Gulls, I can tell you that. It's not about the stadium. It is about the land around the stadium. And you want big tenants in the arenas or the stadiums for the rest of the perks of owning all the land around it. Now, the thing with Stan Kroenke, the Walton family, who he's related to, the Walton kids want to own their own teams. This is an opportunity for the Walton kids to own their own teams down in the Midway District. They could potentially do that. Well, they would never get approved because the Lakers and because the Anaheim Ducks and the LA Kings. Guess what? Stan Kroenke makes deals happen. There is money that will pay these owners off to make things like this happen. And then they get the votes, and then they don't care about the rights anymore. Again, these business entities make a ton of money. Make a ton of money. They care about money. There's a deal to be had with owning land in this particular area around a said stadium. Now, here's how you make this thing work. You get the stadium built. You have Stan Kroenke throw some money at it for Dino and the boys. You have them inherit part of this negotiation, give them some of the land around it. You get a stadium built. They move down to San Diego. It could be Dean. It could be whoever it is. There's a deal to be made for them to potentially be a part of this project that they're being very vague about. And the thing is, it doesn't even hurt to put something together and present it. And if they say no, at least you tried. And that's the thing. Nobody in this town tries for anything. At least at the, I don't want to call it the leadership level, the elected officials level. Unless it affects them personally, there's a lot of trying going on. There's a lot of laying back on vacation in beautiful San Diego and doing the bare minimum to just keep people happy. There's no big sense of, let's bring something here to San Diego. Right? So that's how you do it. What is valuable about that project? It's not the stadium. It's the land around it. Land is popular. When there's blood in the streets, you buy real estate. There's a reason why that's a saying. So there's a deal that could be made. If it makes everybody money, they'll sign up for it. If not, Dino and his family can sell the team. There's a way to be a group that buys said franchise and then makes a bunch of money being part of this project. The McGarry Group, gigantic, like, God, oh, look at this stadium in the middle that could house a couple of things or get more investment into their project for a stake in their project. There's ways to do this. So to me, I can understand how they do this. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you are any type of entity that would so happen, and this could be a group that buys a team that's for sale. This could be the group that leads the project that builds the stadium. If you are any type of group that is the reason the National Football League comes back to San Diego, you will be immortalized forever. You will be immortalized in San Diego forever. If you are a group, even if you're not the minority owner of said group, but you're a face like a pro athlete, and you're the guy that helps spearhead buying the Chargers from the Spanos family and moving them back, or getting an expansion team, or buying any team and moving to San Diego, there will be a statue built for you, and you will be immortalized for the remainder of eternity in San Diego. That's literally what would happen. That's how big of a deal this would be. So, we're going to talk more about Padres baseball when we come back, but I needed to be frank there. There's ways to do this. There's ways to do this. And what's not going to do this is by sitting on your hands and not doing anything. The McGarry Group, developer of the project here down in Chula Vista, put together a pretty good thing, a pretty good plan. They have opportunities to make this thing even bigger, as Kevin and Chula Vista laid out. Tiger Woods wants to be a part of that particular deal with this little golf thing. Hey, Tiger, you ever thought about owning an NFL team? Being part owner of an NFL team? Hey, Drew Brees lives in town. Hey, Drew, you ever think about maybe being the guy that brings the Chargers back? He knows a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people in town that could be put stuff together. And again, it says 50,000 right now. People go like, oh, it's only 50. They haven't built it yet. Think about this. Think about all the hoops they got to go through still. They could just go like, call Roger Goodell. How big do you need it to be? 60,000. Sounds good. Hang up. There's ways to do business. There's a lot of famous athletes here in town. There's a lot of athletes that live here in town. There's a lot of rich people that live here in town and people that own teams and everything like that. There's ways to do this. There's people that say, no, this will never happen. And there's people that think outside the box and find solutions to problems. Don't be the negative person that just says no to everything. Be the person that finds solutions to problems. And this would be a big deal. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. What do you think about my plan there, Frank?
I think it's right, and I think it goes back to the chat I just posted there. You need a 70,000 seat stadium at least to get the Super Bowl here. No, you don't.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It's about suite space and restaurant space and concourse space now. And what's going to suffer from that? Overall capacity. That is what your focus is. So if it's a state of the art stadium for the highest of high paying people, it'll be fine. It doesn't need to be the 70,000 seat monstrosity that Qualcomm was. It doesn't need to be that big. It just has to fit the right people for the right situation. That's all you need.
I mean, and the thing is like SoFi and Jerry's World, they've found that trying to fill that stadium for other events has been very, very difficult.
Yes.
They could get events there, but they got a lot of dead, empty space in these particular facilities. I think the age of the gigantic stadiums is over. Until they build another gigantic monstrosity, I don't think that's going to be the case. Think about a lot of these outlets that are building new stadiums. They're not building huge stadiums. I mean, I don't know what the Bills' new stadium capacity is going to be, but it ain't going to be 100,000 people.
Let me see. Hold on, because they've been doing a lot of promotion about that.
I don't know. It's probably. I mean, if it's as much as it was before, I think it's like 60,000 seats. I mean, and I know Northwestern football is not like a big football entity. They downsized their stadium.
Highmark Stadium's current capacity, the stadium right now, 71,608. The new stadium is going down to 62.
I'm telling you, they're moving them down. 62,000.
71 is the current stadium.
Right. 62.
62 is the new one.
They're shedding seats. Think about Petco Park. They've shedded seats to make more group seating. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Ed in San Diego will get to you when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. All right. Hopefully the phone callers are a little bit better than the people in the YouTube chat right now. You cannot bring franchises here without venues to play in. Frank almost flipped the board in front of him. Are you kidding me?
Building first. You need the building first.
You need the building
team
first.
fills the building. You need the building first.
I just think it's funny. Like, people think, well, they should actually build something. No. Nobody's building anything. This particular group happens to be building a stadium. Here's a way to fill it with an NFL team. This is the closest thing you possibly have to potentially getting an NFL team back. Not, oh, we should go build it over by this particular place. Oh, we should. No, nobody's paying for anything. This is not a taxpayer thing. We're not. You lost that opportunity. That opportunity's gone. This is the only small glimmer of chance, light at the end of the tunnel to potentially bring the NFL back is this particular group down in Chula Vista making a deal with somebody. That is it. You don't have a chance. There's no, we should put a stadium here and vote. No, it's not how it works. It's California, man. It's California. You couldn't get everybody in California to agree that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And you stop it. Stop it.
I mean, where else are you going to build this thing? You got to build it out in East County where no one is. You got to build it along the 70. You got to build it along the 76, which is just a tinderbox.
We don't have to worry about buying land. It's already part of the deal. You don't have to worry about raising taxes. It's not part of the deal. This is a private group building their own thing, and we're just throwing a potential tenant for them. That's all this conversation's about.
And it's on the water. It's not in the middle of downtown. It's not where the MTS parking garage is. It's on the water.
Well, if you build in Chula Vista, I'm not going. All right. Well, then don't go.
Exactly. I want a picture of you on the side of the building saying, do not let this person in.
That's right.
If you're going to stand on business, then stand on business.
100%. Vegas doesn't have a stadium yet. It's Vegas, dude.
I mean, my gosh,
Vegas builds stuff in like 2 seconds. Didn't they build T-Mobile Arena like before anything? They filled it with anything?
It's amazing how willing people are to cut their nose to spite their face at any given shot.
That's why everybody wanted to cut Xander Bogaerts, dude.
We want an NFL stadium. Oh, but not there. You're doing it wrong.
I don't want
not
it there.
That one.
And I don't want it to be there.
Why is it 50,000 seats?
Right.
Why can't it be 70? Like the stadium's getting built. Why? Like we're gonna argue over minutia now. Stop. Just accept it. And be happy.
That's right. Oh my God, man. I mean,
my God.
The Chula Vista, it's ridiculous. It's right on the bayfront. It's North Chula Vista. It's nice down there. Come on.
There is a smell of sulfur. I'll give you that. There is a sulfur smell there every now and again, especially at night. I'll give you that one.
That smells like rotten eggs.
Really, this is where we're getting at.
This is why we can't get any. This is why we can't have nice things. We can't have nice things because people will do this and then vote no on stuff. That's why nothing gets done when people vote. Nothing gets done when people vote because they just have these insane opinions. Anyway, Ed in San Diego, thanks for waiting on hold. You're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm doing well.
Listen, first time I'm calling since Coach was around, and I want to say I've been a fan of yours, been rooting for you. No one deserves this more than you, man, especially a San Diego-born kid. So
thank you very much. I appreciate
really
it.
Glad for you. Really glad for you. Hey, listen, wanted to jump in on the conversation. I've spent, my career with the Regional Chamber of Commerce, with the Economic Development Corporation, with the Tourism Board, and all through this whole time that Spanos was here, since the Super Bowl year, prior to that, of the proposition to have the city give him the land. He would pay every penny of that stadium, which at the time laughably was going to be about $500 million to build. The city said no. We built the Padres Stadium at Petco Park because there was a Proposition C. Politicians got on board. Everybody got on board. Proposition passed. Spanos, in the meantime, was trying to build a stadium in Oceanside. Couldn't do it. Went to Chula Vista, which is laughable, in the very spot that we're talking about right now. They wanted to build a stadium there. Couldn't get it done. Every other, and of course, downtown. I was there with the whole hoopla when Roger Goodell was there, when we were going to build that stadium, going to build a non-contiguous expansion of the convention center. Super excited. Even unions were excited, which was crazy. And who was backing that proposition? Any politician that you remember here? No. Any hotelier that that you can remember? Any of the hotels wanted the Chargers to build a stadium there? Did the Padres want the Chargers to build a stadium there? No. No one wanted it. Of course, the politicians were being paid by the hoteliers who did not want the TOT tax. And just to remind everybody listening, that proposition did not include any tax at all. No one was going to pay that. It was going to be visitors coming here paying a TOT increase into the hotels. I just want to say one little story. I sat in with the Economic Development Corporation with all the politicians here in San Diego, most of them anyway, with the hoteliers in a meeting. And the meeting specifically was so that maids couldn't pay breaks. They were lobbying the politicians and the people who run things here in California to not let the maids take a break while they were working their hours at the hotel. Okay? So unknowingly, we people didn't want to spend money on a playground for a billionaire, put money in the pockets of more evil people. And so what are we left with? No stadium, no convention center. We still have streets that look like a third world country. Basically, my point is this, Braden. Until we put the blame where it really lies, and I get it. No, I don't want to go eat dinner with Gene Spanos, okay? But until we start putting the blame on the lazy-ass politicians here in San Diego who do nothing but throw bones at people to keep getting voted. They don't want growth. They don't want expansion. They don't want sports. I mean, if we had that stadium, would we have had a draft here by then?
Oh, 100%. We would have had a draft here by
then.
Yeah.
How about 1 million people coming into San Diego for a draft? Would we probably have had a Super Bowl? Yeah, probably. Would we have a convention center expansion, getting more conventions here in San Diego? Yeah. So my point is, until media starts putting attention on the blight here in San Diego, as well as throughout California mostly, which are people we elect, one of the things we need to start checking is, what are you for growth? What are you for sports? What are you for tourism? If they can't answer any of those questions, we don't want you.
I agree with you, Ed. And that's why, again, this is why we brought up this conversation, because this is why I think it could get done, because it doesn't involve these people. The people that just say no because they're just collecting checks, and I don't even know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. They just raise prices on stuff and then whatever. That is more of a conversation for news talk radio, though. From a sports standpoint, and Ed's right on all that stuff. I mean, he's right on all that stuff. There is equal blame to go around. I mean, I'm not a big Spanos fan, but the city of San Diego and the politicians in this town are ridiculous. Ridiculous. Voting thing, it's never going to get done. In California, it's never going to get done. In other states, a lot of the stuff gets done. This city has no vision. This city has never had vision. I mean, they finally are upgrading the airport. It's one runway for an international airport. It's one of the worst airports I've ever been to.
It is statistically the most dangerous one runway airport in the country.
It is the most, yeah, I knew that. It is terrible. No vision. They didn't build an airport in a part of town like everybody else does, out in no man's land. So you could, I don't know, build around it and make it big, make a legit airport. Oh, we like the planes flying by the ocean. It's cool. No vision in this town.
Like the planes flying by the ocean, but football next to the ocean, no shot.
Yeah, God forbid. I like the new bit of build the stadium here in the chat. Build the stadium on the 52 will finally be flat.
Stadium under the power lines of the 125 up next on court 18.
Oh, man. Build the stadium on the Lexus lot. You're on court 25. Vince and Chula Vista. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys, Chula Vista is on the lips of everybody here, huh? So here I go. That last one, by the way, that was a fun one. Key takeaway, politicians suck, all of them,
That's
right?
right.
So we got that. If you build it, they will come. So I am totally with you on that. Even if this is just a pipe dream of some sort, I am all with you. The only part that really gives me heartburn is if the Spani in any way are associated with this crap. I wish they would have sold the team, but I'm with you, Braden. Any team that comes in now, fully behind them, and hope they kick the crap out of the LA Chargers. So if you build it, they will come. It'll be cool. I'm going to now do some research on what this proposal actually looks like. I mean, it sounds the way a business conglomerate would do things, right? It sounds to me the way a Stan Kroenke or somebody with that kind of money would go about and try to do this stuff. You build it, and then you fill it, and then you figure out when you're building it, how you're going to fill it. So it's all really good. And last thing, Braden, on the Padres, of course. Isn't it cool that the expectation of winning is so friggin' high? Every single game Padres go into, the expectation that I think every other Friar faithful has, they're going to win. Now, last night was that roller coaster that they typically, put us through. But damn it, if we all didn't know that at the end of it, the Padres were expected to win. So I think you were saying you may be at the game Friday. I, too, will be at the game on Friday. My sweet daughter-in-law is from Massachusetts, so she's a big Red Sox fan. So I'm going to be having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time, Vince.
It does. And so, hopefully the boys come through. The expectation is, even though as hot as the Red Sox are, the Mets were equally as hot, and they swept them. This team seems to play up to their competition. So I'm really looking forward to Friday, and I just love the expectation. And Braden, one more shout out to you, man. Fantastic show. You're the others may differ, but you're the luminary here, not to blow sunshine your way, but I really do enjoy your show.
I appreciate that,
always.
Vince. Thank you very much. You got to tell your uncle to stop calling, dude.
Blowing smoke up your butt. How is that my uncle?
It sounds like something an uncle would do. Now, if you want to, if my nephew can only be like, here's what I'm going to say about, the city. Okay. What? Uh-oh. We have an uh-oh?
I may have just, it has nothing to do with the show. I think I may have just completely broke Adobe Audition. Nice. Oops.
Here's what you need to know about me and the city of San Diego. I love this city. This is the city I was born in. This is the city I was raised in. I love this city dearly. I would love to be able to spend the rest of my career in this city. I never know if that's the case. Working in this particular field, you never know when you get a phone call and you got to go somewhere else. I totally am in the spot where I understand that could potentially happen at any point in time, but I want the best for this city, and what's best for the city in a lot of different ways is trying to bring more events here and being the top-notch city that we can be. And that's not always the case. And so you could be the person that goes like, well, if you don't like it, just leave. Or you could be the person that goes, we need to make our city better because we can. And we should be a lot better in a lot of different ways. I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't have state-of-the-art facilities. There's absolutely zero reason. And I understand, and I agree. I dislike a lot of what the politicians might be doing and everything like that. I can only control what I can control. I have a voice here on the radio, and I'm telling you right now, there is an avenue for this project in Chula Vista to turn into something even bigger. If there is an idea, if there is that, drive to go make those things happen, there's a deal to be made. And I don't care what it is, and I don't care what team it is that might potentially be able to come here. I don't know. I don't care who the owner is of that particular team, but all I know is having the NFL or the NBA or the NHL in this city makes this city a lot better, whatever it may be. And so when there is news like this, we are going to talk about it and get creative. I mean, I'm tired of seeing us just as a city just be laid back and pretend like we are the small Navy town that we were back in the 60s and 70s. We have all the major problems of a major city, yet the ideas of a small town. And that needs to stop. It needs to stop. We blew through the sports fix.
Braden from Mayor.
Or the sports thread.
Thank you, Uncle Vince, for the call, by the way.
Braden from I don't want to get anything involved with politicians, dude. I don't want to have anything to do with that. Absolutely none. But I will say this. I don't care where it is. And that's the thing. Ed, good phone call. Just destroyed politicians for about 15 minutes. That's what's great about this the sliver of hope. Private entity wants to build something. Let's find a tenant for him.
And all baseline tickets will be $5. Braden from Mayor.
All right. Sounds good. I feel like I'm in Back to the Future. When we come back, we go back to baseball talk with the Padres.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on 97 through the Fan is brought to you by the Craft Taco. I could use some tacos. You know, if they build a new stadium, maybe Craft Taco could be in the new stadium, huh?
There you go. You see that?
There you go. Let's get on it, Eddie. Let's get you in the new. Let's get you in the new stuff.
Jeez, Eddie, let's go. What are we waiting on?
It. Let's think big. New lunchtime hour brought to you by the Craft Taco. Both flavors in 2 locations: Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. We might have a solution for this before we go back into the sports thread and then Padres baseball. Speaking of the small Navy town came up with what, Frank?
We found a wild idea. I remember seeing this because I go down YouTube rabbit holes all the time. And one of the rabbit holes that I went down, I'm trying to save this. Okay, here we are. Let me get this up on stream here. There was an idea that was put out in 1964. For those of you who are old enough to remember, you might have heard about this. An idea of a floating stadium. This stadium, as I'm about to put on the stream right now, the land was going to be built. The field was going to be built on land, but the two big portions of the stadium were going to be on the water. So there was a baseball field, and just outside of right field was a football field. And you would move the stands in the water based off of what was playing that day. So if it was a football game, you move the stands over. If it was a baseball game, you move the stands back. So there you go. There's your idea. Just build it.
There you go.
Just build it out in the bay. I'm sure that won't bother anything. There's certainly not Navy or shipping that goes through the bay right now. And just have Petco Park stands on the water.
We found our solution.
There you go. Simple as that.
So simple. As we create a modern marvel on the bay. You get some like high tides or something running through there, and you get people to be throwing up. Just kidding. That wouldn't actually happen.
Padres/Chargers floaty night. You know how big those are going to be? Get your water wings.
100%. We got other people putting in locations for build a new stadium here. Again, it's part of the private. They're already building. They're already building this thing. It's not a city thing. Anyway, we got to get back to Padres baseball. Before we do that, since Frank worked so hard on this, it's time for the sports thread, which we have other deals that are being done, which kind of, honestly, this first one you're going to talk about really inspired me to talk about. There's deals to be made out there.
There definitely are.
Sports thread time.
Let's put the pots up first time.
You know that group chat, the one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what's going on outside of stadium talk and the Padres beating the Diamondbacks 10-5?
We have
number 1.
New news regarding ESPN and the NFL's deal. We spoke about it last week that it could be finalized. Well, this morning it was. ESPN is acquiring the NFL Network and other national football media assets, including the linear rights to the league's popular Red Zone channel, in a deal that will see the NFL get 10% equity stake in the All Sports Network. ESPN will also acquire the NFL's fantasy product and merge it into its existing platform, making ESPN Fantasy Football the official fantasy game of the NFL. In a separate deal, the NFL also agreed to license to ESPN other NFL content and intellectual property that will appear on the NFL Network and other assets. The NFL Network will be owned and operated by ESPN, as if ESPN wasn't already the NFL Network, which will control the network's linear and digital rights. The NFL Network will be integrated into ESPN's upcoming direct-to-consumer streaming product that will cost about $30 a month.
ESPN is basically buying every media rights they can for sports.
Yeah, and they just bought WWE this morning because their deal with Peacock and NBC runs out at the beginning of next year.
Which shows you how it's worked, how much it's worked out right now when it comes to their streaming numbers on their particular platform. So, I don't know how this is going to work out. NFL getting 10% stake in ESPN products are very interesting. The thing that's very concerning, I guess, is ESPN has ESPN Bet, and now the NFL makes 10% on ESPN. I mean, 10% of all of ESPN properties, right?
Well, now is it ESPN? Is it a 10% stake in ESPN?
It's a 10% stake,
or
in
is
ESPN.
it or is it a 10% stake in Disney, which owns ESPN?
It's a 10% stake in the ESPN portion of Disney, is what I saw.
Okay, so there you go.
But anything that ESPN makes, NFL makes 10% of, right? And so the money that they make for licensing their name for the bet is all of a sudden now going into the NFL coffers as well. So I don't know how I feel about this in terms of everything that's going on in the sports world. I don't think ESPN does that great of a job of covering sports. I think they're
awful.
TMZ. They bring up a lot of stuff I don't care about. I can't tell you the last time I watched ESPN if it wasn't for a live sporting event. So hopefully they don't ruin a bunch of things like NFL Red Zone. Hopefully they don't ruin that. They've thrown out the idea of SEC Red Zone now with this new particular partnership, but I guess we'll wait and see.
It has been confirmed the host of ESPN of NFL Red Zone has been extended a 4-year contract, so he is not going anywhere. I know that was a big concern as far as NFL Red Zone fans. The host is going nowhere.
Number 2.
A former Miami Heat security officer is accused of selling stolen jerseys and other memorabilia worth millions of dollars made his initial appearance in federal court yesterday. Marcos Thomas Perez, 62 of Miami, was charged with transporting and transferring stolen goods in interstate commerce. A joint announcement from the Southern District of Florida and the Miami FBI said law enforcement executed a search warrant at Perez's residence on April 3rd and seized about 300 stolen game-worn jerseys and other valuable memorabilia. The Heat confirmed the items had been stolen from their facilities. We talk about people being emboldened to do stupid things all the time. You're really going to steal from an NBA locker room when you're there every single day, you work there? Why would you even consider doing something like that?
Don't they have the saying, don't bleep where you eat?
Exactly.
Why would you do that? Why? By the way, why would you steal in general? And honestly, wouldn't you think like a major arena wouldn't have, I don't know, security cameras everywhere? Like, was he going in there like turning them off?
It's minor details,
to try
man.
to make, like, the more you try to reason and make logical sense out of criminals, the more you go like, oh, they're just dumb. So he's dumb. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
And he won the stupidest prize, which was getting arrested by the federal government.
Number 3.
As opposed to local police.
Well, you know.
It's worse.
Philadelphia Phillies reliever Jose Alvarado, who is nearing the completion of his 80-game suspension for violating MLB's performance-enhancing drug policy, apologized to his teammates and fans yesterday on Instagram. He said, quote, I am fully aware that using prohibited substances is wrong, and I would never intend to do it. And I've never intended to do so because I have always had great respect for the game, my organization, my teammates, and the fans, all of whom I want to offer my sincerest apologies. I made a mistake, and therefore I have faced the consequences set forth by Major League Baseball. Going forward, I will focus on working harder to help my team win. Fair, and we move on, or do we hold this over Alvarado the same way we've held it over so many players?
What did he do again?
Failed a drug test.
No, I don't care. I've stopped caring on the drug test stuff. I mean, all right, thanks. The apologies are always so lame too. All right, dude.
My lawyer did not write this. I wrote this from the heart.
Yeah, you cannot. Yeah, the PED suspension people cannot participate in the postseason.
Right,
is correct. So, I don't know. The PED stuff. I mean, the way these things all work out, it ends up working out for these guys because they still get their contract after their suspension is over. And so you cheat, and then you get a big deal, and then you sit out some time and forfeit a little bit of money, and then you make your millions. I mean, it's the way it is. Until you make the punishment an insane, harsh level, it's going to keep happening. But at the same time, is it bad? I don't care. Like everybody does it now. I'm just whatever. Okay, all right. He got caught. Moving on.
It's just you're so tired of it now.
I hate the whole. This is not who I am. Well, this is who you are because you did do this. Just own up to it. I did this to make more money, and now I have more money, so I don't really care. All right. Okay.
I have more respect for you if you do that.
100%. 100%.
Baseball would probably see that a little bit differently, but as a fan, I would have more respect.
Number 4.
Major decisions by the NCAA's top decision-making body will need approval from all 4 major conferences and the Pac-12, or help from smaller conferences.
The Pac-12?
Well, no, the Pac-12. What did we say a couple weeks ago? The P in
stands
Pac-12
for power.
Stands for power.
That's right.
To pass under a set of rules approved yesterday that are designed to streamline the way business is done by the nation's largest overseer of college athletics. The Southeastern Conference has been pushing for it. Oh, really? And other 3 power conferences to receive a 17% voting share on the newly reshaped Division I Board of Directors. So that if one of the 4 conferences disagrees with a proposal, the others could still band together and pass it with a 51% of the vote. But the legislation only increased their voting share to 16.1%, which gives each conference power to waylay a policy it doesn't like. So we are really going to sit here and allow the powerful to get more powerful.
So the proposal is for the SEC, the Big Ten, to have more like
the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 to have 17%. So this way, say the the SEC doesn't like a ruling, the other 3 Power 4 conferences and the Pac-12 can still outvote them.
They can outvote the group of 5.
They can still outvote the group of 5 and the one Power 4 team that votes no.
All right. So basically, under the new proposal, it would take X amount of percentage to pass, which would be 3 power conferences.
Yeah.
If 3 power conferences say yes, then they can do whatever they want.
Pretty much.
I'm out. I'm super out on that. I think if you're going to be Division I football or Division I whatever, and all these teams are part of Division I, they equally have a right to have a say in said meetings. I don't care how many fans you have. It's basically on how many fans you have. That's basically that's where we're at here. The Big Ten and the SEC are in charge because they have more fans than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why they have power. And they had the TV contracts before everybody else did. Okay? If it's D1, it's all of D1. If they wanted to do and break off and just have the Power 4 have their own division, then fine. And then those 4 conferences could be their own entity. But if they're all in the same division, they all should have the same amount of say in decision makings for the postseason. I don't care how much extra money you make. You're in the same division. This is how it should work.
It's just ridiculous to me how they have all the power already. Still, they want more. Like, really? Come on, guys. Like, at what point do we say enough is enough? And right now, all this power consolidation is ruining college sports more than making it better. Even though it's making it better for us, it's making it a worse product overall.
The Big Ten and the SEC definitely are like, hey, we're in this together. And then as soon as they have a chance to flip it, that's exactly what they're going to do, and they're going to turn on each other too. That's really all we have time for on the sports thread. We got to take another break. When we come back, some interesting things that were pointed out by Letters to AJ that we're going to build off of in terms of really this new lineup depth, small ball, smarter bullpen plan. Is this what a championship team looks like? Letters to AJ laid out a lot of research that we want to talk about when we come back about the San Diego Padres. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. 12:21. That's part of our noon lunchtime hour. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Let's talk some Padres baseball. Let's dive into a couple of things that Letters to AJ and his Substack put together about this new identity for the Padres, should you say, led to have the Padres finally crack the code. New lineup depth, small ball, and smarter bullpen plan. Is this what a championship team looks like? Now, a couple of things that Letters to AJ laid out in this particular deal. Longer lineup power, small ball with big impact, and a new bullpen strategy. Let's talk about what happened over the weekend that kind of led to this. Okay, so the Padres weekend win over the Cardinals didn't just show off their talent. It revealed a new identity built around lineup depth, smarter strategy, flexible bullpen usage, even though that's still kind of getting taxed. You have longer lineup power. Ramon Laureano crushed a 105-mile-an-hour opposite field homer out of the 7th spot in the lineup, his third opposite field home run of 105-plus miles an hour this season. Jake Cronenworth, who hit 8 over the weekend, and Freddy Fermine, who hit 9th, showed the depth this lineup now has, with Fermine grinding out 3 hits and even dropping a perfect situational bunt single. Let's talk about that bunt single for a second. Now, in more detail on Letters to AJ Substack, if you want to go check it out, he explains kind of the small ball with the big impact. And he breaks down the defensive shift that play out because of bunting. Now, he goes on to point, and there's interesting, it's a lot of interesting dynamic to this on the bunting. Like, when we have people call in, and it's usually older gentlemen that say the Padres need to bunt more, they're never really talking about bunting more for a hit. It's more of they got to bunt to move guys over and sacrifice bunt. I agree with Letters to AJ and his Substack on the entire bunting situation about like the sacrifice bunt, unless it's in a situation in which it's going to be a major benefit for the team that is bunting, should probably not really do it. Now, couple of things with the bunt for a hit that Freddy Fermine had. So he hit 9th on Saturday and Sunday and was exactly as advertised that we have seen so far. I would say that has continued into the Arizona series. So he takes tough at-bats. He avoids striking out. He puts the ball in play. He had 3 hits on Sunday against Palante and a walk, and he dropped down a bunt. Now, here's the breakdown that Letters to AJ did on the bunting. Nolan Gorman had a rough series at third base for the Cardinals. He's not their usual third baseman. Their usual third baseman is Nolan Arenado. He's on the injured list. And he was playing, as noted by Letters to AJ, deep from home plate to start the at-bat that Freddy Fermine dropped the bunt down on. He played, in fact, he's even got the exact distance, 117 feet from home plate to start the at-bat in the top of the third inning. Andre Palante, or Dre, as his friends call him, he tends to fall hard off the mound to the first base side or glove side when he finishes on a pitch. So with your pitcher going towards first base after the pitch, because that's his natural mechanics when he pitches, and with Nolan Gorman playing 117 feet away from home plate, playing deep at third, Freddy Fermine, situational awareness, drops down a bunt for a hit. As he noticed, Gorman's off the bag, playing deep. I know Palante in the scouting report falls away from third base. This sets up for a perfect bunt for a hit. And that's exactly what Freddy Fermine did. It's a high-level IQ play right there. Now, here's where this gets interesting. So you burn him on the bunt single by Freddy Fermine. Now Fernando comes up. Okay? What is the benefit? I'm going to ask Frank. I like asking these questions that nobody can actually respond to. Maybe they could say it in their car. So we'll use Frank. What is the benefit for a infielder playing deeper than normal? What's the benefit for the infielder playing deep in terms of positioning?
Better reaction time on a hard hit ball.
You have more range. You have better reaction time. It sets you up. As long as you trust your arm, you got a good arm. You have more of an ability to make plays on balls in the hole, balls down the line. Speaking of third base. Now, Freddy Fermine gets the bunt single. Now, Fernando Tatis Jr. in this game on Sunday, in a scoreless game in the bottom of the third inning, came up next and then showed bunt to start off the at-bat. Nolan Gorman was much closer to start this at-bat than he had been for Fermine's bunt. Remember, he's like, well, I just gave up a bunt. You got to scoot up a little bit. Now he's only 104 feet away. But by showing bunt, all of a sudden, Gorman scoots up a little bit more. Now he's 94 feet away from home plate. So now the third baseman's drawn in. He's got to be ready to deal with a bunt. This has shifted the defensive alignment for the St. Louis Cardinals. With this defensive alignment shift that the Cardinals have now done, it has allowed now Fernando to have a little bit more room and a little bit more space. So with all of these advanced analytics defensively, it seems like, and you watch it, even with the banning of a shift where you can't have three guys on one side of the infield, right? They gotta stay. Defenses have been lined up in your spray chart zones very, very well. So now, with the Cardinals more in a defensive shift to stop a bunt of Fernando, and Fernando's scary to drop down a bunt because he is fast, they're taking themselves out of the usual spray chart defense that they would have against Fernando Tatis Jr. So with the third baseman now drawn in, Tatis can now swing away. Now, he did foul off the next pitch, didn't square to bunt the rest of the at-bat, and he ultimately drew a walk. But what it did was it now took away that ability for Nolan Gorman to play more in the hole, to get over to extra, ground balls, to have more range as mentioned, and it makes them far less effective on trying to stop a ground ball or line drive from getting through the infield. In Tatis' next at-bat, Gorman started 120 feet back, and on the pitch of the at-bat, Tatis he dropped out a bunt. And now all of a sudden, the defense is shifted again. Now, you could do this especially when you got a pitcher like Palante, who falls off glove side a little bit more. But here is a situation in which bunting for a hit or even squaring to bunt drastically changes the dynamics of what your offense can do. This is the game within the game. Freddy Fermine was smart enough to do this as the number 9 hitter, something that I don't think anybody would really believe with Martin Maldonado. Tatis probably shouldn't be bunting often, but when chosen carefully, as laid out by letters to AJ, it creates a lot different dynamic of the defense. Could be one of the biggest inefficiencies of baseball. Could be bunting more for hits. Not crazy, not for sacrifices, unless specific game context rewards that. But a very interesting shift to what Freddy Fermine brings from an offensive standpoint. And it's called situational awareness, something this team's been lacking for a long time. There's something else that Freddy Fermine does that is really proving he is an underrated weapon for the Padres. Is Freddy Fermine the most underrated weapon on the Padres? We'll answer that question when we come back and talk a little bit about some metrics that you wouldn't see when it comes to Freddy Fermín as a catcher. Braden Surprenant show rolls on. All right, we're going to break down a little bit more about why Freddy Fermine is so valuable for the Padres in just a little bit. But we do need a contestant for our midday sports standoff. If you could take me down in sports trivia, you'd be qualified for a grand prize 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas, plus VIP admission to AYU Day Club and a $175 food and beverage credit. Celebrate summer with a 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas. Dine poolside at one of our 5 unique pool experiences in the 5.5 acres pool complex, largest elevated pool deck on the Las Vegas Strip, and then experience AYU Day Club, a stunning oasis inspired by the islands of Southeast Asia, where the ultimate party concepts transform the weekend into a never-ending summer. Special summer rates available now at rwlasvegas.com, now offering no resort fees and complimentary parking. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 is the number to call. All right. Freddy Fermine, when he was acquired by the San Diego Padres, people are like, I can't believe they gave up 2 starting pitchers for this guy. So far, I think he's been pretty good. Offensively, I think he's helped out. We just talked about the heads-up kind of decision to lay down a bunt against Palante and what that potentially does with certain strategy, the game within the game. Now it's the extra thing that Freddy Fermine does. The Padres have quietly found a game-changing edge behind the plate, and his name is Freddy Fermine. In a pair of crucial moments during their latest win, which was actually over the weekend, Letters to AJ has found this, and I think it's very interesting and worth noting the importance of Freddy Fermine and why you gave up 2 starting pitchers for this guy. It is his pitch framing. Now, here's the deal. People that listen to pitch framing, they go, why is this a big deal? Because, again, that was shoved down your throats a lot when Austin Hedges was the catcher for the Padres. Well, his pitch framing's great. His pitch framing's great. And if they decide to go to the ABS system, this is really be a major benefit. But until then, this is important. Here's where it matters. Here's why Freddy Fermine's pitch framing is important. There's a difference between his and Martin Maldonado's. Martin Maldonado at the bottom of the zone was only able to get it to 43%, stealing it, 21% in the outside corner. For Freddy Fermine, drastic difference, 48% on flipping balls to strikes, 28% on flipping balls to strikes in the low outside corner. Stark difference. Here's where it matters. So, in one of the particular at-bats that between Nolan Gorman gets picked on in this article a lot. The count was 1-0 to Nolan Gorman, and Dylan Cease was pitching, top of the 4th inning on Sunday in a scoreless game with 1 out. And Freddy Fermine stole a strike on the 1-0 count. Here's where it matters. When batters in 2025, this season, when batters have a 2-0 count, they hit .345 at the plate with a .347 on base, a .634 slug, and a .981 OPS. When it's a 1-1 count, batters this year hit .328 with a .335 on base, a .521 slug, and an .864 OPS. It slightly changes the outcome of the at-bat. That's just from this year. Now, if you look at all batters since 2008, and thank you to Letters to AJ for compiling this information, it's relatively the same. Batters hit better with a 2-0 count than they do with a 1-1 count. I can go through the numbers, but it's relatively the same to what I just explained to you in 2025. Same numbers since 2008. Slight differences. That was the first time that he stole a pitch. Now, the other one, Padres are up 2-0, top of the 5th inning. It's a 2-1 count to Segazy, who is the kid from Carlsbad. Dylan Cease still on the mound with 1 out. Freddy Fermine on the 2-1 pitch does it again. There's a pitch way outside the zone. Pitch frame gets up, and he gets a called strike. This is where the leverage of the count changes drastically. So if that pitch is called a ball, which it should have been because it was outside the zone, it would have been a 3-1 count. Hitters this year in all of Major League Baseball, the 3-1 count are hitting 352 with a 1349 OPS. When it's a 2-2 count, that's what happened. He took that pitch that was a ball, got a called strike with the pitch frame, made it a 2-2 count. Hitters go from a 352 batting average with a 3-1 count to a 171 batting average with a 2-2 count. A 176 on base from a 715 on base percentage. And the OPS goes from a 1349 with a 3-1 count to a 444 with a 2-2 count. That's just this year. If you look at league averages for hitters since 2008 on the difference between a 3-1 count and a 2-2 count, offensively, with a 3-1 count, batters have hit 352 with a 3-1 count since 2008 and a 1341 OPS, and they have hit 180 with a 2-2 count with a 468 OPS since 2008. That stolen strike on the pitch framing does wonders. More than you would think. Again, I'm part of that group. I was like, okay, you frame some pitches. What's the big deal? But when you can alter counts like that and see the drastic trade-off, as noted by letters to AJ, and I think this is interesting. You look at the numbers of a 3-1, a batter with a 3-1 count compared to a 2-2 count. You essentially go, if that pitch is called a ball, the batter turns into Barry Bonds of the 3-1 count. If you steal it and it's a strike, he turns into Trenton Brooks, which is what was laid out in the letters to AJ. I think no shots at Trenton Brooks, but that's, whatever. 352 average to a 180 average, 1341 OPS to a 468 OPS. These are the differences that come with some of the inner workings of Major League Baseball behind the scenes. So again, that's some of the benefit of the pitch framing for a guy like Freddy Fermín. Freddy Fermín, I think, has been pretty valuable for the Padres so far, and just his, 5 games with the team and however many games he has actually participated in at this point in time. Yesterday, he didn't even start, and he still got 4 at-bats, and he still contributed. Padres have a lot of different things working out for him. The other thing that was laid out in this letters to AJ's article was the kind of strategy you could do with the bullpen. We'll talk about that in the 1 o'clock hour, as well as some other things in Major League Baseball and the San Diego Padres. But before we do that, it's time to get to our midday sports standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got playing today?
Today, we have Ricky in Santee. Ricky, how are you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great.
What's going on, Ricky?
All righty.
It's another beautiful day.
There you go.
Go Padres.
Go Pods.
All righty. So today's topic, this is another 2-second masterclass on my part. Top 5 NFL stadiums for attendance.
Oh, man.
So how many, it's not attendance, capacity. The
biggest stadiums in the National Football League.
The 5 biggest stadiums in the National Football League.
Well, that's
Ricky,
right now,
you have the first shot.
I'll go get Cowboy Stadium.
Dallas is number 3 on the list. Braden.
SoFi. Really?
No, they're not.
Can't
in the
they
top
go to like
5.
100,000 in there?
No, they're not in the top 5. Ricky?
Maybe MetLife.
MetLife number 1. Braden.
Ooh, really, MetLife?
Hmm.
That speaking of Costco stadiums, that's like the most generic stadium I've ever been in.
It's a very generic looking stadium.
All right. Well, They all kind of look the same. What about Denver? What about Mile High? Whatever they're called now.
Denver is number 5. Ricky, if you get this one right, you win.
I don't know. Green Bay Stadium. It's what's the name of it? It's Lambeau Field.
Lambeau Field, correct. Ricky, congratulations. You have won. Stay on the line. I will get to you in just a moment. And Braden, you want to take a crack at the last one?
Arrowhead? Where do the Chiefs play, dude?
Very good.
I can't believe Lambeau's 81,000.
There you go. So a nice, quick midday sports standoff. And I think for the first time since I've been here, we're qualifying winners on back-to-back days.
How about that? SoFi only seats 70,000 people. I'm telling you, you don't need that many fans you don't need that many seats.
No, you really don't.
Most of the stadiums in the NFL are like 60,000. Soldier Field, 61. Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland, 62. State Farm, 63. Ford, 65. Allegiant's brand new. They had 65,000 seats. 65, 65, 66, 66. I mean, 50 to that mark, it's not that far off.
Again, the Bills are going from like 71,600 to 62,000. So I mean, that doesn't need to be big.
Yeah, like MetLife. I don't even know why why would they even make MetLife that big? They only get to, they forced a Super Bowl there when it was never going to be good weather-wise. Same with Lambeau. Lambeau's huge because they have like bleachers. You can cram a bunch of people in there. That's why like all these college stadiums are massive. That was a fast game.
It was. Nice and quick.
Let's get to Clay in the South Bay, I think, called in for to call in. Let's get to Clay in the South Bay. Clay, what's going on, man?
I'm still here.
Thanks for waiting on hold. What do you got for us today, Clay?
Hey, you know I love the show anyway. Hey, I've got a few things, but I just want to say, getting back to what Ed said, I mean, I got to go along with Ed. Ed was right, but I love Chula Vista's visions. They're real, they're fresh, they're trying to make a statement, and I wish them all the success. My Padres, all I can say, Braden, is what an offensive jump last night in the 11th inning. I was hoping we'd get it done, and we did. And let's just go to the coaches poll. I'm a little fumed about Ohio State being second to Texas, but what even fumes me more is Texas and Ohio State are going to meet on August 30th. So, it's like, whatever, people. Ohio State hasn't been ranked number 1 in the coaches poll in like forever. But hey, I guess that's just a bias against the Big Ten. Other than that, Braden, hey, I hope you all have a great day. Let's get the Padres get a win tonight. And love my Padres, man.
I appreciate it, Clay. Well, Frank, you asked me the question about the Browns. You should be asking Clay about the quarterback situation in Cleveland. What do we got, Clay? What do you got on your Browns already, man?
Man, I'm going to tell you what I got on the Browns. I think somebody's doing heavy drugs over there, man. Maybe some of the players, I don't know. But what I really hope is I just wish they would just let Joe Flacco be the starting quarterback and forgetting about trying to cut and paste with new guy this, new guy that, an older guy that can't play for, hangnail, legal problems, whatever it is. I mean, my Browns, I still think they're going to win. Oh, I'm going to give them 6 games this year unless Flacco's the QB. If Flacco's the QB and we stay healthy, I'd give us 10 wins. Other than that, I'd be more than optimistic if I tried to give it any more than that.
Well, I appreciate the phone call, Clay. And I love you got the NFL moving in here, which is great. Some NFL talk. Big Browns fan, Clay in the South Bay. It's tough for his Brownies, dude. He's a believer in Joe Flacco. Is he one of the guys that says Joe Flacco's elite?
I don't know.
10 wins if Joe Flacco's the starting quarterback for the Browns.
That is a lot for Cleveland. It's not the greatest of. I mean, division's still tough though.
With the Steelers and the Bengals kept
Ravens,
all their
Baltimore.
Yeah, the Bengals kept all the receivers, which is good. I don't know who's going to play offensive line for them, keep Joe Burrow upright, but that's neither here nor there. They are a poorly run organization, but the Ravens are always good. Steelers with Aaron Rodgers. How do we think that experiment's going to go?
Very, very unwell.
Very, very poorly. I can't imagine the I honestly, when that move happened, I couldn't believe the Steelers had done that. The Steelers used to be this do everything the right way organization. The Steelers used to be, part of the black. They're part of the black and blue division. Grind out, run the football, play good defense, no nonsense, well-run org with the Rooney family. And they decided because they've made the playoffs a decent amount of times. They haven't been able to win in the playoffs. Mike Tomlin he's never had a losing season, I don't think.
I don't think so either. Not off the top of my head, at least. He might have.
Some of the
years Roethlisberger was hurt.
No, he had up until like 2 years ago, has never had a losing season. And so unless it happened the last 2 years, it hasn't happened. And so they haven't really been able to put too much together after that, but that is done enough for them to make a deal with the devil and sign Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you took the most selfish player in all of the National Football League and you put him on a team that's supposed to be about like doing everything for the Steelers. I can't imagine. I wanted Hard Knocks to be with them. That would have been to watch Mike Tomlin deal with Aaron Rodgers, because when Aaron Rodgers was on Hard Knocks for the Jets, it was hilarious because like Robert Saleh would kiss his ass all the time. It was like nauseating watching it. And he just got him fired. They're like, oh, we're going to be so good with 12 here. Oh, man, 12's so good. We're going to be so good with 12. Aaron Rodgers just saying out just dumb things all the time. But his, his retreats he does and darkness and stuff. What was he doing? I don't even keep track of, the crazy stuff that he does.
It's not worth it, honestly. It's really not worth keeping track of him.
Steelers fans, just go, it's great. It's going to be great. I can't imagine Mike Tomlin dealing with a lot of these guys. We're dealing with Aaron Rodgers. At least they got rid of Pickens. Can you imagine hitting them with Pickens and Aaron Rodgers and just all of these guys that are just mental problems on the team. I mean, what a disaster. More Padres talk, final hour. Final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. As mentioned before, final hour of this show, not the final hour of me being on the air. I will be back for the postgame show today. Hamul Casino Resort postgame show, which is a mouthful. I finally got it down after probably the third, fourth break of the postgame show, Hamul Casino Resort postgame show on Sunday. So I'll be back to do another one today. Sam Levitt will have the Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show coming up at 5:40. I'll have the postgame show hopefully a little bit earlier than last night, at least for my sake. You know, if I do the postgame shows to get me out of the round table tomorrow, can I just come and eat the pizza and the wings and be ready for the show at 11? I don't mind the round table. I enjoy it. I think it's cool. But I don't have to do a 4-hour talk show and then do an extra hour for the round table like the morning show does. So I understand why it's a little extra sometimes. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. But a couple of things go down as of today in terms of just things that we've been talking about. The first thing that we had Jennifer Van Grove on earlier today, and we asked her about what the deal was with the project down in Chula Vista that's going to build a tennis facility with a tennis stadium, arena, whatever you want to call it. The water polo facility, but like everything around that project down there is centered on this phase 2, like throw in 50,000 seat stadium. You know, so and so we asked questions about it, and Jennifer, who does her job very well, has to, you know, put out everything you need to be like, hey, this is still in the infancy stages. They got to go through this. They got to go through that. They got to go through this. And then we led on to talking with some people from Chula Vista and talking about a plan to potentially make it worth their while in terms of getting a tenant for that said stadium, especially one that involves the NFL. So that was a big part of our show today in the 11 o'clock hour. Jennifer Van Grove joined us at 10:30. We talked about the idea to get an NFL team in that particular stadium because that stadium needs a tenant if you're going to build it. Nobody builds. And I know they said, and you have to say this, as Frank mentioned, and I agree, you can't just promise the National Football League and then come up flat. But what you can say is, hey, well, you know, we're going to build a 50,000-seat stadium and, you know, might fill it with soccer or lacrosse or cricket. None of those sports are going to fill 50,000 seats. And so you're not going to spend $1 billion on a 50,000-seat plus stadium and fill it with those events. You're not going to make your money back. The other thing, too, is that land is more lucrative than the actual stadium. You build the stadium to bring people there. You make your money on the land and the and the rent and the taxes and the income of the entities around said stadium, or should I say stadiums with tennis and water polo and all that stuff. That's where you make your money. So that's why like these deals get played. These entities want the land. They don't want the stadium. That's why a big reason. I mean, San Diego State getting the land in Mission Valley was huge for them. The land is more valuable than Snapdragon Stadium. Yeah, running a stadium is cool. Having tenants for it is awesome. It's not like it's not lucrative, but the majority of the money they're going to make is on all the land around it. And we didn't get an update from Jennifer Van Grove on this, but I did see that they are going to start the first set of the residency buildings and the first retail of this surrounding campus, San Diego State West or whatever they call it. That's going to start going in the orange lot. So if you usually park in the orange lot, it's going to be on the corner. You know when you drive into Snapdragon Stadium at the main entrance and you take a left, Frank knows what I'm talking about because we were there for the San Diego FC game. That to the left is the purple lot. To the right, as you're driving in, is the gigantic orange lot. It's mostly gravel. Well, at the corner of the light on the opposite side of the stadium and on the south side of, it's on the southeast corner of that particular light. They're starting their first building operation. So just a heads up for Aztec games and San Diego FC games the rest of the way. I did see that report. And we got into a little bit of the arena stuff. But what I'm getting at this is, when talking about the stadium, I had a gentleman listen to the show text me, and he put in this particular, and he did a lot of different things. I mean, he did stuff that involved a lot of tourism coming to town. He did a lot of stuff involved in the Super Bowls that came to town, a lot of PR things back in the day. And he had this, and I think this is very interesting. It totally fits what we talked about in that 11 o'clock hour today. John Spreckles, you've heard of Spreckles Theater here in town? John Spreckles, from the late 1800s, had this to say about San Diego. Quote, anytime someone brings forth a visionary idea, the city's small town undertakers immediately get busy digging its grave. That is the most truthful quote I have ever heard about the city of San Diego. It's so truthful, I want to say it again. In fact, I'm going to. John Spreckles, in the late 1800s, said this about America's finest city. Anytime someone brings forth a visionary idea, the city's small town undertakers immediately get busy digging its grave. That is the most spot-on description I have ever heard about the city of San Diego, a city that I've called home my entire life, a city that I love dearly, a city that I would love to actually be better than trying to keep this small-town vibe as we have all these big city problems. And so when we talked about, the stadium stuff in the 11 o'clock hour, it was a lot of finding a tenant for that particular stadium, right? It was about what they're doing in the Midway District. It's about pushing any type of forward progress into improving our city from our facility standpoint. We already have the best baseball stadium in all of Major League Baseball at Petco Park. It is the best. And aside from Petco Park, that's basically it. I think Snapdragon's a nice stadium. I think San Diego State did a great job with Snapdragon Stadium. They didn't build it big enough. It's just so much small-time thinking in this town. They could have built it bigger. They could have had an opportunity to make it, better for everything else. Again, as I mentioned before, the money is in the land around the stadium, not the stadium itself. Would they have filled it? Probably not. Who knows? Maybe a couple of the San Diego FC games would have been very packed there. I mean, there's other events that you could potentially have, but it hampers you in the size of the stadium that they have. And all the events that I've worked in San Diego, and I've said this multiple times, and I've worked many events here in town. I've worked the All-Star Game and all of the festivities with that. I've worked, golf tournaments at Torrey Pines, the Farmers Insurance Open, everything that has happened up there. I've worked events at Qualcomm. I've worked events at Petco Park. I mean, all these events in town, winter meetings. And every single time we have an event here, and it's one of those, even if it's a rotating event, right? Like the winter meetings, like the All-Star Game, Super Bowls, way back in the day. The vibe around the people that plan everything, or the people that are involved, or that go to all of these events every year in the different cities, all say the same thing. Why don't we do this in San Diego every year? We already have everything else that you would need. We have the weather. We have the vibe. I mean, everything about San Diego is great, with the exception of the facilities and the foresight thinking of like understanding the future. There's zero vision. Absolutely zero vision. Leadership's a joke. I mean, we said we didn't get time to talk about this, and this is not a Padres problem. This is a city problem. I mean, the parking situation, I know people are upset about that. And that's for more of like a political talk show than anything else. But the fact that they're going to charge $10 an hour for meter parking during special events is just like, really? After they told everybody, like, hey, like, we need San Diego to be more affordable. Up, special events. Here's $10 an hour parking, and it's going to last 2 hours before the event starts and 4 hours after. Thanks, San Diego. Come on. Need better leadership than that. And again, from this perspective, our stuff's via sports, and we want things to be better. The city could be better, and we'd like to see as many sports here as humanly possible. Was that me being frank? Is that why I became you on the StreamYard?
I have no idea. I did not do that.
Anyway. All right. When we come back, we're going to get into this. Tigers' 2024 playoff run proves you're never truly out. Who could be this year's Cinderella in Major League Baseball? There's got to be some of them out there. We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 1:16 on a Wednesday. Let's dive back into baseball talk, Frank. What do you think?
I don't know.
Come on. Didn't get no hit today. Juan Soto did hit a bomb.
Sounds good to me.
He did hit a bomb. It's okay, Frank.
Speaking of hitting a bomb, Ian Happ just hit one that extends. Good news. That extends the Cubbies' lead over the Reds 5-0 in the bottom of the 8th inning.
There are 2 current games going on. So here's the games that have mattered so far today for you Padre fans out there, myself being included. All right. Who you need to root against, right?
Mm-hmm.
The New York Mets. We're going to pass them. Nice. They lost today, unfortunately for Frank. But here's where we're at. So the Mets lost, which is good. So now the Padres have a full game lead on the Mets. It will say half game in the standings, but with the Padres winning the tiebreaker, they are right now, they are a half game up.
It's not officially won. All they need to do is win one in New York in order to win the tiebreaker. So, but virtually won, but
as of right now, they lead the tiebreaker 3-0.
Yes.
So they get a half game. That's why they're listed in front of the Mets in the standings. So you're now a full game in front as of right now. It will say half game. You can make it a game and a half tonight if you beat the Diamondbacks. That's good news number 1. Good news number 2, and this is good news for the Mets and the Padres, the Cincinnati Reds, who are really the only threat, and we're going to get into this in a second, to take either the Mets or the Padres out, are losing 5-0 to the Cubs. So good news, separate yourself a little bit more. Bad news is, well, you're not going to make up ground on the Chicago Cubs that are right in front of you. That game is currently on there in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Cubs have a 5-0 lead on Cincinnati. In LA, the Dodgers and Cardinals have just gotten underway. And Ohtani's on first with nobody out in the bottom of the 1st inning to Mookie Betts. And a 2-2 count to Mookie. So that game is obviously major importance for the Padres as well. Hopefully the Cardinals can get it done. And no, Palante is not pitching. I just assume Palante pitches every game for them. Because every time I look up and see the Cardinals playing, it's Palante playing.
Felt the same way about Liberatore over these last couple of weeks.
Well, so if it's not Palante, it's Liberatore. And he's pitching right now. So anyway, that's that. Now, let's just set us up for our next topic here before we dive into Padres baseball and Nestor Cortez's start tonight against Anthony DeSclafani coming up in the next segment. The 2024 Detroit Tigers. Where did the I lost it on my sheet. Hang on. Yada, 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 yada. There it is. Tigers 2024 playoff run last year proved that you're never truly out. Who could this year's Cinderella story be? Last year, the Tigers were left for dead at the trade deadline. 4 games under 500, just a 2.8% playoff odds, and selling Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers. They fell further to 8 games below 500 with a 0.2% chance of making the postseason by August 10th. Then they caught fire, which shows that, again, the Reds could technically do this. Detroit went 31-13 down the stretch, made the playoffs, beat the Astros, and set up their 2025 breakout season. Now, the question is, could it happen again? Could a team that sold, or at least didn't buy at this year's deadline, shock the world? Frank has 5 candidates that could potentially do it this year. We're going to tell you if we believe it or not.
I just want to say, first of all, they went 31-13. That's really close to 42 games, is it not? It's a little over, I know, but it's basically 42 games, right?
Yes.
As we've said. You know, maybe we're not as dumb as we look. All right. So first team just completed a sweep earlier this afternoon. That'd be the Cleveland Guardians. Guardians, as of right now, sit 58-55. They were 2.5 games out of the wild card.
School bus.
Yeah.
Going to the train track.
Yeah.
Mets logo. $330 million payroll. Freight train. Power of friendship. Cleveland Guardians.
Yep.
Guardians. This is your pick. This was your pick yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah, it was. Guardians, 17% playoff odds. Do they make it?
17% chance to make the playoffs, the Cleveland Guardians. I was not buying that too much yesterday or whenever we did this. But you know what? They're starting to make a little bit of a run here, and they're playing good baseball. They're only a game out of the wild card. They are a half game behind the Rangers. They have to jump one team. The Yankees have lost 5 straight. I could see Cleveland putting this together. Now, since the Texas Rangers are not on this list, I think the Cleveland Guardians probably do it. But the problem that really hurts them right now, the run differential, -23. They obviously would overcome that if they make this little run. But they're 4 games above 500 now after the win against the Mets.
Yep. So they've had a solid run. This one, Padre fans, cover your ears. The San Francisco Giants currently sit 6 games below the cut line. Playoff odds are sitting at 7%, but the Giants, they've done this before. Remember I forget what year it was, but the year where they chased down the Dodgers and beat them in the division the last game of the year and won 106 games or whatever it was. They have a history of being able to do this.
They do. We've seen it before, and I don't want to see it anymore. Remember, they won the trade deadline.
Yeah,
they won the trade deadline.
They won the trade deadline.
They don't look like they're playing good baseball, though. They're 4-6 in their last 10. I know they've won the last 2 games, 5 games back out of a wild card. If I had to pick anybody in the National League, which I will pick one, and they're on this list, the Giants are not that one. I know they got a good starting staff. They sold some bullpen pieces. They sold other players. I don't buy the Giants getting into the postseason. Plus, they got to deal with our Padres 7 times.
We agree once again. The Tampa Bay Rays are the 3rd team on this list. Now, they held on to a lot of names that we thought they were going to be trading, such as closer Pete Fairbanks. 4 games under 500, 5.5 game deficit in the wild card. They have a 5.2% chance of making the playoffs. I know you want to see this just to watch Manfred squirm seeing a spring training facility in the postseason.
I'd love to see the Rays and the A's make it, but the A's are not going to make it. They are 10.5 games back. Tampa, we talked about this a couple days ago. Tampa's got a plus 46 run differential, and they're 56 and 59. If Ben's rule to this works out, and I've usually been a believer in this, Tampa's going to overcome the deficit that they're currently in, 3 games under 500. I think they actually have a better chance than Cleveland at making the playoffs because of where they stand on the run differential. I'd love to see the ALCS have to go to the bandbox or the Yankee Stadium minor league, spring training facility just for S's and gigs. But we'll see what happens. If I had to pick between Tampa and Cleveland, I'm picking Tampa now, actually.
I don't agree, but all right. The St. Louis Cardinals are the next team on the list. They're running through a gauntlet right now. 5.5 games out of the wild card, 5.6% chance to make the postseason. Do the Cardinals possibly make a run at it?
Mason Wynn at the warning track. No, I don't think they do. After watching them play in person here in San Diego, I wasn't too scared about the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals traded away enough pieces in their bullpen. You need bullpen help. You need starting pitching. They don't really have too much of either of that. I know they got a young team, something they could build on next year, maybe during the offseason. They're not making a run. And they haven't played that great of baseball right now. Negative 18 on the run differential. I don't see the Cardinals making any noise or getting hot.
And get ready to see Liberatore throw for like 106 miles an hour today. Ohtani's pitching, so Dodger Stadium's got the gun juice today.
We need to pitch. The Padres need to pitch Mason Miller.
Oh my God, Ohtani hit 101.
Oh,
what a guy! What a guy! I mean, how can you not love Shohei Ohtani? I mean, let's be honest here.
Okay.
Sarcasm,
foul,
folks.
Foul,
Sarcasm, folks. Relax.
Foul.
The last team on the list, I'd play it. It's on the same pod.
I know.
Marlins are the last team on the list. They are 55 and 56, or at least they were at the writing of the article. Wild card deficit, 6 games, playoff odds 1.5%. They just swept the Yankees for the first time in franchise history. Do the Marlins make a push in the National League?
If I had to pick a National League team, I'm picking the Marlins. 6.5 back. I know they are negative 50 on the run differential, but the difference, I think, between the Marlins and the other NL teams that you mentioned with the Giants and the Cardinals, the Marlins have been playing a lot better than both of those teams in the last handful of weeks. I mean, the Marlins have climbed the standings very quickly, and they've played good baseball. They got off to a rough start, right? They have good starting pitching, not great, but their top 1 and 2 is pretty good. Their bullpen's decent. They got young players. I think Miami can make a little bit of a push. I don't think they make the playoffs. Like, there's too much to overcome, but they could go on a little bit of a roll, I think, in the second half or in the final 2 months of the year.
They look good. I will say that. They look good, especially for a bunch of no-name players, which has kind of been their MO.
All right, let me look up
their 2 World Series championships were won with not too many stars. They had a couple of them, but it was mostly no-names.
Until COVID, every year they made the playoffs. They won they won it all.
Yeah.
Did they win the division those years, or did they make it as a wild card? One of them might have been.
I honestly don't remember. The first one was in 97.
Yes. Let me ask. Here's their remaining schedule.
They won the wild card in 97. They finished second in the National League East with a 92-70 record. 2003. No, they won the wild card again in 2003.
San Diego Padres have released Martin Maldonado, and Tyler Wade has been outrighted to AAA El Paso. So Tyler Wade has cleared waivers. He's in El Paso. Martin Maldonado is no longer a member of the organization.
Oh, that's unfortunate, especially with...
Maybe they'll sign him to be a coach.
Yeah, with the rumors of Maldonado this being his last year anyway, it's kind of an unfortunate way for him to end.
It is. All right. Here's who... We've got a couple of minutes. Here's who Miami finishes the year with. I might have to change my opinion. They got the Astros again today. They've gotten beat up twice. They lost 8-2 on Monday and lost 7-3 last night. They got Houston right now. They're in the top of the first inning. They just started. They go to Atlanta. They have to play 5 games in Atlanta. They have a doubleheader of a makeup on Saturday. So they play Thursday. So they're going to play, they had no days off with the Yankees series. Okay, so they had their last day off was July 31st. They went Yankees, Astros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're playing 11 games in 10 days. Then they got a day off. Then they go to Cleveland, who look pretty good against the Mets this week. Then they go to Boston, who's competing for an AL East crown. Then they host St. Louis, who's been solid. I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to make the playoffs, but that's going to be a tough matchup for Miami. Then they host Toronto, then Atlanta again, at the Metropolitans for 4. And then the month of September, it gets slightly easier, but not really. Washington, Philly, Washington, Detroit, Colorado, Texas, Philly, New York Mets. They're not making a push. I'm sorry. I take back what I said. The best chance for a team making a push.
We have amended statements here live as we were working it through.
I am no longer, they played good baseball, but at this point in time, no. I'd give it to Cleveland, and I'd give it to the other American League team that I was talking about. Who was it?
Tampa.
Tampa's got a good run differential. I think they can overcome. The National League, I think, is almost cut and dry right now, unless the Mets and the Padres tank. But the Reds, again, losing today is great. It's now 6-0 Cubs, top of the 9th inning. Reds do have a runner on base. Dodgers and Cardinals are scoreless in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Some of the scores that you need to pay attention to around Major League Baseball. Most of the games, I think, are going to be over by the time the Padres even start.
Yeah, so the wild card scenario is going to be pretty well set for the day, at least by the time the Padres begin.
Games coming up tonight are the White Sox and the Mariners at 6:40. Don't care. Doesn't apply. Brewers and Braves will be at 4:15 Pacific time, which, I mean, that game will be almost over by the time the Padres start. Kind of want the Braves to win that a little bit. Royals at the Red Sox at 4:10. Doesn't affect the Padres. A's at Nationals at 3:45. Doesn't affect the Padres. Everybody else is underway or have gone final. Guardians beat the Mets, as mentioned before, 4-1. Pirates had a 2-0 lead on the Giants. Or sorry, 2-1 lead on the Giants, and they ended up losing. They gave up 2 runs in the 9th inning, so the Giants win today. I don't think that really matters to the Padres anymore. And the Orioles beat the Phillies, so that's good news for the Padres too. And for the Mets, for that matter.
Yeah, you want those divisional leaders. As far as the Cubs, as I saw the comment in the chat before, we want the Cubs to lose. Yes and no. It's more important right now for Cincinnati and San Francisco to lose right now because you want to shore up your standing in the wild card. And the best way to do that is 1, win yourself, or 2, to have the teams behind you lose. But you also don't want the other teams ahead getting too far ahead. So yeah, you want Milwaukee to lose. You want the Cubs to lose. You want the Mets to lose. You want the Phillies to lose to give you the best chance, as well as, of course, the Dodgers.
I said it on Monday. You have to match what the Cubs did this week. If you do that, you're not going to lose ground on the Cubs, and you're going to separate yourself from the Reds. So if the Cubs took 2 out of 3, and you take 2 out of 3, you don't lose ground on Chicago, and you gain ground on Cincinnati. Now, that being said, the Cubs lost their first 2 games, so it's good that they're bouncing back here. So again, I guess the Padres lose tonight, they would have lost a little bit of ground on Cincinnati and then wouldn't have lost any ground on Chicago. So, like mentioned before, you were hoping that the Chicago Cubs would have taken 2 out of 3, but they didn't.
Another bit of Major League news that we haven't mentioned yet. We've seen it all over the place. Jen Powell making history this weekend as she will become the first woman to be an umpire in a regular season Major League Baseball game.
Cool.
So she got the call today.
Good for her.
She will ump the Marlins-Braves series in Atlanta this weekend.
And Roman Anthony signed a contract extension with the Boston Red Sox.
That's another thing we have not mentioned today.
When we come back, we'll dive back into tonight's game. What to expect at Nestor Cortez? Do the Padres need him to go really deep into this game? We'll answer that question when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Sanders #1 Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show. Stadium's number one sports station, 97.3, The Fan. A lot of stuff about the stadiums today and stadium talk and everything like that. But people asking about it in the chat. Let's talk more Padres baseball. Good news, Padres fans. Reds lost. Round of applause. Reds dropped their game to Chicago today, 6-0. It's good news for the Mets fans, too. The Mets have lost 4 straight games. The Mets have a 3-game lead on the Reds. Padres have a half-game lead on the Mets, and they're up 3.5 on, or should I say, no, they're up 3.5 on the Cincinnati Reds now in the National League wildcard standings.
Maths are hard.
2.5 back behind Chicago, which is actually going to be back to 3 games behind Chicago after this thing updates. Anyway. Most of the games will be done before the Padres start theirs tonight. Padres game will be at 6:40, same time as the White Sox and the Mariners, who you don't care about. Brewers and Braves will be on at 4:15. Royals and Red Sox, which nobody cares about in the National League, is on at 4:10. And the A's and the Nationals are on at 3:45. Everybody else has either played or is currently playing. Cubs beat the Reds 6-1, as mentioned before. Twins come back and beat the Tigers 9-4. Twins were down. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead, and then were down 4-3, and then went 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. They win 9-4 of the Tigers. Guardians over the Mets 4-1. They almost no-hit the Mets, which brings up an interesting topic that we didn't really get to.
Mm-hmm.
You saw, well,
Adam brought it up.
Adam's a Braves fan. He likes to push Frank's buttons every once in a while. Can't hear you all the way down there in the standings, though. Right, Frank?
You know.
Hey. Last time he talked crap on the Mets went on a heater.
Yes, they did.
So anyway, he pokes fun at the Mets. And the Mets almost get no hit today. Gavin Williams was great until, I mean, his pitch count was super high.
So 126 when he left the game.
But it was at like 113 when Juan Soto took him deep for the one hit of the day. He gave up the one hit in the 9th inning with 1 out. He was 2 outs away from a no-hitter. Soto took one to dead center, made it a 4-1 game. And then they take him out after that or 2 after that?
They took him out after, I think Alonso got on base, and then they took him out. I don't know how Alonso got on.
Doesn't matter. So anyway, he goes, he almost throws a no-hitter. And when they took him out in the 9th inning, with the Mets down 4-1, the Mets fans gave him a standing ovation.
Yes.
You like that or no?
I don't mind it. There are days where you have to admit you just got smoked. And that's one of those days where
that's
the guy
you stand and cheer for the guy that just smoked you?
Yeah, it depends on who the opponent is, but yeah, there are days where there's nothing you can do, but yeah, you got us. Get out of here.
And he didn't even throw a no-hitter. He threw a one-hitter.
Adam and chat, they got Alonso out and then walked Brandon Nimmo.
So he almost throws a no-hitter, gets a standing ovation. If a Philly did that, are you giving him a round of applause?
No.
No.
You nuts?
What about definitely not a Brave then?
No.
What about a Marlin?
The Marlins are so irrelevant.
Like if Sandy Alcantara goes in there and throws a no-hitter, you give him a standing ovation?
Yeah. Again, the Marlins are just that irrelevant. Same thing with the Nationals. They're just irrelevant.
I don't know if you would have done that. Divisional. You wouldn't be upset from an irrelevant team doing that to you?
Oh, I'd be annoyed. I'd be annoyed that it happened, but it's
Kyle
like really
Freeland,
there are days where you just gotta go, yeah, you got us.
If Kyle Freeland walked into Petco Park and no hit the Padres, I don't think any Padres fans would give him a standing ovation on the way. I wouldn't.
I don't want to. You know what? I'm going to read the text on it. I'm going to read the text. Adam just texted us. I'll remember that next time you criticize Schilt for tipping his cap to an opponent.
True.
It's one thing to do that when you get lit up 8 no-hit innings. It's another thing when you're doing it every single night.
Does the caliber of the opposing pitcher matter? Like Gavin Williams, I don't know anything about Gavin Williams. I don't play fantasy baseball. He's in another league.
It's not my week to watch him.
So for him, like the Mets giving him and he's in the other league. He's in the American League Central Division. Like, yeah, sure. Hey, good job today. But as a Padres fan, there's not a single, I don't know.
Zach Wheeler's a Philly, Adam. So yeah, of course it's different. If Zach Wheeler was on
the Royals,
yeah, I don't care. Good for him.
You don't hold any grudges from the World Series?
No, because the World Series was not lost by Zach Wheeler. It was lost by Matt Harvey wanting to pitch the 9th inning.
The Dark Knight.
That was where they lost it. They had the lead in They had the lead in the 8th inning. Stop. Okay, enough.
We're going down some serious PTSD.
I'm over it.
We hit a nerve.
I'm over it.
No, he's not.
I'm over 2015.
No, he's not.
I'm over it. See, look at my eye twitching. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Like Tim Lincecum didn't he throw 2 no-hitters? Did he throw a perfect game against the Padres?
I know he threw
dominated.
I know he threw at least.
I'm not giving him a
here.
standing ovation.
No, because he's a division rival and a very relevant team. If the Rockies threw one, yeah,
I'm
you're going to be annoyed. But
I'm
it's
still
like,
not giving him a standing ovation. Kyle Freeland comes in here and throws a no-hitter. I'm not cheering for him. I'm not. Any Diamondback do it? No, absolutely not.
No, because the Diamondbacks aren't irrelevant to you. The Marlins and the Marlins and the Nationals are irrelevant.
The Rockies aren't really irrelevant to the Padres either.
Well, there you go.
They have had struggles with the Rockies.
You definitely
I'm trying
have.
to think of other teams in the National League.
Check his ear. There it is.
Marlins.
Thanks, Nate.
No, I'd be irritated. I would be irritated. I don't, unless it was like a kid making his debut, I guess, but I'd still be irritated. It's like, this is the first time this guy's ever pitched. If he had a good, you know what? I'm going to put it this way.
I would not expect.
If he had a great outing and he's a guy I still wouldn't do it. I don't mind other teams doing it. Like, I didn't mind the Mets. Hey, good for them. I personally would never do that.
If Drew Thorpe came in here, who was a Padre for all of 5 seconds, came in here and no-hit the Padres with the White Sox, what are you going to do in that spot?
People are upset. Are you kidding me? Are you asking that question? You've seen the chat that we have?
You're going to sit there and go,
asking
Bud,
that question?
You're going to think, Bud, good on you.
Nobody's doing that.
Good on you.
No,
now go
Have
away.
you not been paying attention to our YouTube chat? I mean, you get anybody that was a former Padre for like 35 seconds have any success.
Literally 35.
And the sky is falling.
All right, Mike Vasile was a former Met prospect. If he does that
to the Mets?
No, if he does that, if he comes in here and throws a no-hitter, what are you going to do?
I'm probably still not applauding
You're going to say,
him.
good on you, now get out of here.
I don't think I'm saying
happy for you, now leave.
I don't think there's anybody really in the National League and be like, oh, you know what? Great job kicking our ass. I don't.
Brutus.
Nick Martinez. I like Nick Martinez.
Yeah, Brutus in the chat. Did you not clap for Nick Martinez when he almost no-hit the Padres last month? Yes, you did.
Nick Martinez. I do it for Nick Martinez. I do it for Nick Martinez.
So there you go.
Pitchers I like, maybe. Because Nick Martinez should still be a Padre. That's why. I'd rather have him still be in the Padres. I'd probably be the only guy. Nick Martinez somebody I know.
But you would do it. That's the point of this argument here, is would you do it? Yes, you would.
Only for a select group. I'd say Nick Martinez is in that group.
Trust me, dude. I'd be having such a better day if I was.
Maybe people I know, like Daniel Camarena. You know?
There you go.
I wouldn't do it with Blake Snell.
Of course not. He's a Dodger.
Even if he wasn't a Dodger.
I don't.
What about Seth Lugo?
I would.
Seth Lugo?
Yeah, I would. Good for him, because honestly, the Mets did him wrong.
Seth Lugo, maybe. Because Seth Lugo was a good Padre. I mean, maybe. Manaea, absolutely not.
No, I would not expect you to for Manaea.
Micah Wacha, I wouldn't be upset about it.
And why wouldn't you be upset about Michael Wacha?
I don't have any problems. with
Exactly.
Michael
He's
Wacha.
irrelevant.
But
In
I
the
wouldn't-
grand
but I
scheme of
wouldn't-
things, he's
but I wouldn't-
irrelevant
but I
on
wouldn't-
an
I wouldn't-
irrelevant team.
But I wouldn't cheer for him. That's the difference.
I
wouldn't
just
be-
did. I just did, Adam. I just came from it as a Met fan perspective. Yes, I would. I would cheer for him because the Mets screwed with him. The Mets ruined the Mets. It was the Mets' fault is why he left. I would.
Nick Martinez.
I'm not going to hold it. I'm not going to hold it against a player because a team screwed him over.
Nick Martinez, yes. Trying to think, San Diego guys that I know, probably.
I would, and
Like if Calvin
even here, I
Fauché, like
would.
if Calvin Fauché was a starting pitcher and threw a no hitter, I'd be good for him. It'd have to be people that I know, or like pitchers that I like, which I guess would be Nick Martinez.
Adam, it doesn't matter. I would applaud Seth Lugo. Doesn't matter if it was here, there, doesn't matter. I would.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like random people. No, I wouldn't be like upset about it. I'd be more upset about my team, I guess.
I'm not paying for it, but that is a good idea.
Padres City Connect hat of shame.
I'm not paying for it.
Foul. Nate. Nate Taylor, Klug. This close to giving Frank some time off.
I'm not going to be here on Friday, so that could have been.
Oh, there. Yeah, you know what? That's true. I forgot about that.
Frank should stick to fumbling his reads. There it is.
Oh man, you incite a violence, and this is what you get.
Look, I'm just.
All right, so there's
I'm
a
being
small
honest.
list. There's a small list of people that I would be like, okay.
I'm being honest. That's all I'm doing.
Right.
I'm just being honest.
I like Nick Martinez is fire. He's a good player. He's a good player. If you think he sucks at baseball, dude, I don't know what to tell you. If you think Nick Martinez is a good player, you don't know baseball. I don't know about that. Go talk to anybody that like plays baseball. They love Nick Martinez. But anyway, moving on. Nestor Cortez. Well, I'll tell you what, if he throws a no-hitter tonight, I'd definitely tip my cap.
I'd say tip your cat to Nestor Cortez for sure.
I'm tired of seeing the Padres go against Anthony DeSclafani. I think when I was hosting pre and post-game shows for a while, I swear Anthony DeSclafani started for like every team. I mean, he was on like every team. How many teams has Anthony DeSclafani played for?
I don't know. Again, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do an online wheel. Just going to put every team on there.
Yeah, you're supposed to watch.
That'll be my week to watch that team.
DeSclafani, Marlins, Cincinnati, Giants, and now the Diamondbacks. With 2 years off in between, by the way. He played age 24 for the Marlins, then played in Cincinnati, the big leagues. Age 27 year was not in the big leagues. Age 28 to age 33, big leagues. Age 34, not in the big leagues. Age 35, back in the big leagues. So.
It's what you call an up and downer.
Yeah. He had a 4.2 WAR in 2021. That might have been times when I was doing some pregame shows. It felt like he did well against the Padres in the past. Tonight, Nestor Cortez, Anthony DeSclafani. The Cardinals have turned into a circus.
Yeah, the Cardinals are doing what they did on Friday night. They're just throwing the ball all over the place now.
Yeah, not good news. Dodgers up 2-1. Runners on first and third. Coming up at 2:40, JJ Spawn joins Gwynn and Chris, U.S. Open champion, Aztec for life. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Signing off until tomorrow. I will be back tonight for the Hamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. But until then, for Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Signing off. We'll talk to you then.